Is this what the Commonwealth is bringing to the table? I mean, I'm asking you guys in the chat, is this really what the Commonwealth is bringing into the table? Welcome in, everybody. It's Let's Talk Live here on the LTL Media channel. We had a very interesting day today. I would say probably by far the craziest testimony that I heard today was Trooper Paul, and obviously we're going to get into that. We had I'm trying to think, and I just lost my train of thought. Because everything is crazy in this case. It's such a sham, and how can this continue to go on? How can this continue to go on? I keep asking, where is the evidence to show that Karen Read not only struck and killed, but second-degree murder? Where is it? I can't find it. I haven't seen it. We're going through this charade. Lally just continues to drag this whole thing out. Apparently, the Commonwealth is going to rest on Tuesday. So then we're going to get to the defense, and Alan Jackson pretty much said that they only need about 4 or 5 days to state their case, and then it will go to the deliberation. I can't believe I'm trying to figure out if I'm here on Earth or am I in a parallel universe, or Commonwealth calls an expert today with 3 weeks of training. He's not even an accident reconstructionist, but he's reconstructing accidents, and I don't get it. I don't see it, but we're gonna go through the testimony, and we'll pick this thing apart. My brain hurts. I'm going over my notes here, and my brain hurts. So what we heard today, and I'll go through some of my notes here. I got them written down. Trooper Paul, I think, was by far the most compelling testimony today. We had fun little charts and graphs and photos, and we had a reconstruction of the backing up at 24.2 miles an hour, and no audio on the video, which is strange. We had charts and graphs that showed triggering events with no dates and times on it. I mean, we don't know when exactly these trigger events happened, but we're going to go through all of it. I promise you all. So I'm looking here at my notes. Trooper Paul stated that he created a diagram at 34 Fairview using a drone. He used a drone to do it. He also indicated that the John O'Keefe's shoe was 9 feet away from John O'Keefe's body. But the way that he described John O'Keefe allegedly getting hit by Karen, his body spun and hit the curb. So if it hit, all right, wait a minute. I'm trying to figure this all out. If John was struck by Karen, and maybe you all can help me out in the chat, because I've completely lost my mind on this. If John is hit by Karen, the way that they said, 24.2 miles an hour, so he would essentially had to have been hit hard enough. His shoe would have flown. Oh, and I lost my shoes. My shoes fell off. So his shoe would have fell off 9 feet from his body. But he did, I think he said he did a spin. He spun around counterclockwise. And then that's how his head got hurt. But if that happened and he hit the curb, so he must have, I don't know. I'm trying to recreate it. And I'm trying not to be, I'm not trying to make fun of the situation in any way. I'm just trying to figure this out because the theory is just so ridiculous. So he gets hit and he spins, and then what? I'm trying to figure it out. Did he hit they're saying he hit the ground and then he bounced 12 feet in the air and landed near the flagpole? I mean, so he must have got hit and then bounced, and I guess that's what they're saying, right? Am I demonstrating this correctly? Maybe he could have got up and demonstrated like this. So he gets hit, flies back, spins, rotates, hits his head on the curb, and then bounced over near the flagpole. Do I have that right? I don't know. I mean, is this how you all were thinking today? Because it didn't make any sense to me. He said he spun. Yeah, he said he spun. Said he hit the curb. So he must have hit the curb. And then when he hit the curb, he must have flew up to like 12, 15 feet in the air and then landed near the flagpole. I don't know. I mean, I think True Crime Junkie's got it. It's got to be the Superman trick. And again, I'm trying to be very sensitive to the situation because it's not something to laugh about. But like, I can't figure out how all the physics of this would work. Maybe we have a physicist in the room that can literally debunk this in 2 seconds, because when I hear it and I hear the testimony come back, and I heard some of the testimony today, I just say bullshit. Couldn't have happened. But we're going to go through it. We'll go through Lally. I know everybody hates, but I think it's important, specifically in this portion of testimony, that we do go back over it. And then Alan Jackson at the end in the voir dire got hot and heated. Again, Commonwealth playing games, changing statements, entering things way past discovery. Alan Jackson smoked at the end and was hot and heated, and we'll hear that as well. But so anyway, I'm just looking at my notes again. Trooper Paul mentioned examining, eyeballed it pretty much, examined the Karen's Lexus at Canton PD and documented the scratches, a dent, the broken tail light, and the glass on the bumper. Then Trooper Paul reported that he had no data, reported that no data was retrieved from the airbag control module in Karen Reed's Lexus, indicating that it did not register a crash, which he noted is uncommon in pedestrian collisions. Wait a minute. So let's just go back to his theory. Okay, let's go back to his theory. So his theory, and if I have this correct, was the way John got those lacerations on his arm is because of the broken taillight. So he's saying Karen hits him, had to hit him with enough force. What was it? 6,800 pounds to crack that taillight, if I have that correct. 6,800 pounds. So she hits him hard enough, causes the lacerations on his arms. Okay. He now apparently spins, falls back, hits his head on the curb, and then had to have bounced from the curb over to the flagpole. I would probably say, just guessing, if that happened, the violent tendency to John's body and what he's saying, how this all worked out in his mind, how John got those injuries, I would probably say that would trigger a sensor on the car. I mean, it's just pretty much logic. That sounds like a pretty dramatic accident, in my opinion. So then we go into, let's see, Lally presents triggering events downloaded from Reed's Lexus. The time and date column left blank, of course. So we really don't know the certainty of these actual events. Paul discussed the triggering event where the vehicle speeds up at 24.2 miles an hour and accelerated. Accelerator went from 74.5%. So I do know about those accelerations. I've done those on my car as well. I've had several BMWs, gone through the whole tuning process. I know about the foot pedal and percentage of a foot pedal. So was familiar to me. And then Paul states, he informs the jury that the data from Karen Reed's Lexus to John O'Keefe's injuries, he says, are consistent with the pedestrian being struck. So wait a minute. You're saying that, wait, let's back up. Didn't he just say prior to that the trigger, that he said that the airbag module in Karen Reed's car did not display anything indicating any type of crash, but yet he's saying that the injuries to John and to Karen's Lexus would be consistent with a pedestrian being hit. So if a pedestrian was hit at that violent tendency, in my opinion, wouldn't that register on the sensors or airbag module inside the car? Wouldn't we see something there with the violent tendency that he's saying that John gets struck, spun around, hit his head on the curb, and then must have magically jumped up or bounced up on near the flagpole, like 12 feet from the curb? I don't know. So we'll talk about that. Let's see. The jury was, and we found out the jury was dismissed for the day. They resumed with the voir dire. Alan Jackson, let's see, cross-examines Paul during the voir dire and says, Trooper Paul clarified that Karen Reed's taillight was not actually broken by her hitting John O'Keefe's vehicle. And then Alan Jackson questioned why no tests were performed on both vehicles to confirm this. I love that. And then obviously he recreates the backup, which we're going to see in here again. And then there was a bunch of things wrong with the key cycles, which was interesting too. Let me get up to these super chats. I appreciate y'all. And just like I always do in these shows, 25% of all of your donations that come in tonight via Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Super Chat, whatever it may be, we're going to kick that back to Karen Reed's Defense Fund. And what I like to do by at least the end of the night to be able to post $50 at least up on, on Karen Reed's Defense Fund. Let me just get to this. Casey says, great coverage this morning with Melanie, Mark, and Mrs. Reed and AJ. And thank you so much. Yeah, it was such an honor to be out there again and to see Melanie. I mean, we were surprised. Melanie and Mark showed up. It was such a pleasant surprise, and everybody was really surprised. And it was great that I had the opportunity to kind of fix my camera rig, because streaming in that area sucks, absolutely sucks. And I feel bad for all of you that had to watch that. Those satellite trucks just really suck out the satellite signal around there, and it's really difficult to stream. So I got the DJI. I had that hooked up. I have a new device that kind of hooks up all of these devices together. I got to shoot about a half an hour of video, and then I got to do kind of some behind the scenes back there. It was just awesome. We get to talk to Janet, Karen's mom, for a little while. We were kind of just loosening the tension and kind of relaxing her a little, trying to relax her a little bit. Tom and I were talking to her, and then we got to see the dramatic walk-in, Karen Reed with her attorneys, and it was just a really great moment. Kelly, thank you so much. She says, how long to explain the 3 liters of blood loss, but only specs and cells expert? How long do we explain all the surges spelled differently? Absolutely. And how about this? If that was so violent at the curb, where is the blood? Why isn't there no blood there at the curb? Why is there no blood all up in the snow, right? If John got hit that violent and supposedly, I mean, it would almost like have to be a pogo stick to pogo over that flagpole. I would think there would be multiple blood trails, lots of blood loss there, but we don't see any of it. Steve says, both AJ and Paul are going to spend the weekend thinking about the ass beating coming on Monday, but from much different perspectives. So we have $5, we have $15 so far in the defense, or going 25% of that will go towards the defense fund. I don't know if I have any of my moderators in here. I'm just going to take a look. Let's see. Amy with the $2 says the chance of the CW theory happening is 0. Yeah, it's completely 0. Completely 0. So we're at, let me just take, I don't see any of my mods. So I got 15, 17. We're at $17 right now. $17 right now. And 25% of that will get kicked back to Karen Reed. And if we don't get to our $50 goal after the 25%, we'll just carry that over in the next stream and then go from there too. So, all right, let's get into some of this testimony. Yeah, I don't see any of my mods here. Interesting. Aha, KC here. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're out right now. What are you doing? All right, let's get into Trooper Paul. We got a lot of stuff to go through here, and this is going to be interesting. Oh, Mary, thank you so much. You are here. Are you home? Did you get back home? All right, let's do this. This is going to be a good one.
Since I've been on, I've been into probably about 877 hours of education.
Now, 877 hours, like 3 weeks. It's like 3 weeks. This is the guy they're going to put up there. And
minutes. That's anything from bicycle crash investigation, human factors. I'm currently certified through Burlap for examiner and a technician. I am a CDR.
We can just keep a running total, 17 total. We want to try to get to $50 for Karen tonight so we can kick that back. So 25% of all the donations come in, kick back to Karen Reed. All right, let's keep going.
Analyst and CDR technician trainer. Just recently I've attended multiple seminars, and most recently I attended a seminar in Houston on EDR data retrieval.
Now, among those other trainings that you received, some of those trainings pertain specifically to pedestrian crashes?
Correct.
And in addition to the training that you received through the state police, what, if any, professional organizations do you belong to in regard to crash reconstruction?
Yes. I am currently part of NAPARS, which is the National Professional Accident Reconstruction Section, and I'm also certified through ACTAR, which is the Accreditation Commission for Traffic Accident Reconstruction.
Now, if I can focus specifically just on the ACTAR certification, can you explain to the jury sort of what goes into that, and as far as that certification is concerned, how does one obtain it?
Okay, so first thing you do is you got to submit an application to ACTAR to be allowed to take the test, and part of the you got to tell them how much education you've had, how many crashes you investigated, basically anything.
All right, we get it. We get the education. I want to get to this chart. Let's see.
Certification.
In 2019.
And of those, of all those crashes that you've responded to, investigated,
here.
If you know percentage-wise or number-wise, approximately how many of those have been crashes involving pedestrians?
I know I've been to approximately 55 pedestrian crashes, and I've assisted others on pedestrian crashes also. So, I mean, 55 out of 196.
Now, with respect, if I could, turn your attention to January 29th, 2022. Do you recall that date?
I do.
And at some point over the course of that date, were you contacted by somebody in regard to a pedestrian collision that occurred, in the town of Kansas?
I was.
And do you recall who was it that first reached out, or how did you first become aware of this?
My sergeant, Sergeant Brian Mahoney, was the one who called me at the time.
And
real quick, just had a Venmo come in. Jillian, thank you so much. She gave me 25. Says great coverage. Thank you for all that you do. We stand with Karen here in Texas. Free Karen Reed. Thank you. So we'll add 25 to the 17. I appreciate it. And we'll start playing through this. Hang on one second. Just had a $50 come in. Tara, thank you so much. Tara is a member as well. Thank you for being a member. Tara says, free Karen Reed. Great coverage as always, Brian. Buy Casey a belated birthday drink for me today. We went out for lunch today, and she actually had a drink today. I don't drink, but she was looking over at the table and said, oh, that drink looks really good over there. And she asked the waitress, what are they having? And what was it, honey? A sangria? I don't know. I don't drink. Sangria. She had it, and she got about 3/4 of the way through it, and she went, wow, this is really strong. But she did finish it, and we had a great lunch and spent the afternoon together, which was awesome. We're at 92 total. Thank you so much. All right. Let's go. But I will buy her a drink. Absolutely. All right. Another Cash App just came in. Let's take a look at that. Let's see. Lynn, thank you so much for the $20 donation. I appreciate that. I don't know if the Venmos or Cash Apps. I think it's Venmo. But anyway, Lynn, thank you so much. We'll add 20 as well. All right, here we go.
Initially, as far as your involvement was concerned, what was your understanding as the initial request for your involvement?
My initial request was to image the airbag control module, do inspection, test the vehicle, and map the scene out.
Now, you've used that term a couple of times, and if I could just ask you to explain it a bit for the jury. When you say an airbag control module or an ACM, what is that, and what do you understand that term to mean in the context of crash reconstruction?
The ACM is the module in a car that controls the airbags and the seatbelt retentioners.
And what you were referencing before, as far as being a CDR, having taken CDR trainings and being a CDR instructor, what, if any, relationship does the CDR have to ACM?
CDR?
Yeah, normally I don't do the Lally testimony, but it's very important that we go through this because it's going to just set it up for Jackson. Normally I don't do this, but this I'm going to use my word. I'm going to use my word, honey. This testimony is preposterous. I mean, it's literally ridiculous. But we got to hear it.
Yeah, it's just the crash data retrieval software. It's the software that we use to image or download an airbag control module.
And can you explain to the jury sort of the process of physically sort of how that's done, as far as what are you doing to the vehicle in order to download that?
Yes. There are two ways really to download a vehicle. It's either one is direct to module or just direct to the vehicle through the DLC port or the diagnostic link connector. Direct to module, we don't use a direct to module if a vehicle had no power. Then we would have to go directly find the module inside the vehicle and go right to that specific module. But if the car has power, we would go direct to the DLC port, which is the same port that you see when you're like a technician would do the diagnostics on a car. They would plug
Yeah, he went over his background in the beginning, Manny. I kind of skipped through it because it's very long and winded. But how about this morning? What a freak out moment for like 3 hours. We didn't know what the hell was going on. And then so many rumors flying around about the juror. Supposedly there was a juror out at the waterfall talking to defense or Commonwealth witnesses. We couldn't get that story straight. And then ultimately, from what I concluded was it was a juror that actually walked into court and got caught on camera. Now, wait a minute. That's on Bev. That's on Bev not having control of her own courtroom. And that caused a huge conundrum across all of the social media platforms. I mean, I was freaking out. I'm like, this better not be a mistrial. Let's not mistrial that. We don't need this right now. We don't need this headache right now to mistrial this and have to start all the way from the beginning. The time and resources that have gone into this, holy smokes. I mean, we were freaking out, but all was sorted. I believe that the juror was dismissed, and I think they only sat with 15 today, Jackson said. But oh man, it was crazy. All right, let's get through
underneath the steering wheel, and then we'll get there, extract the information from there.
Now, once that information is extracted, what, if any, training have you received in regards to reading or interpreting the data that's extracted from?
Yes, I've been certified through as a CDR analyst, and I've taken 2 classes on it now.
Now, sir, turning your attention to February 1st, 2022. On that date, where, if anywhere, did you go in relation to your investigation in this case?
I went to the Canton Police Department.
Now, at some point prior to that, were you made aware, or did you do any research into sort of what the weather was like around the time? What was reported to you initially as around the time of that crash occurred?
I reported that I know it was snowing and turned to a blizzard at the time.
Oh my God.
Now, initially on February 1st, 2022, where did you go?
On February, to Canton Police Department.
Now, sir, at some point in time on that date, did you also have occasion to go to a residence or a street called Fairview Road in the town of Canton?
I did.
And specifically, there was a address that you were directed to. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And who, if anyone, did you go there with?
I believe it was one of the Canton police officers, Lieutenant Paul Gallagher, I think his name was. I met him there.
And
hell of a detective, huh? Can't remember the people that he was with.
Without anything specific as to what was told to you by Lieutenant.
Probably one of the most important cases you will ever be involved in, and you can't remember. I think it was that guy. It could have been that detective. Could have been that police officer. I think.
Gallagher. What was sort of the purpose of having Lieutenant Gallagher there with you at that time?
To hold his hand.
He was going to show me where basically the evidence that they have at that point was.
Now, in addition to that, were you also able to, you're familiar with another specialized unit within the state police called the CERT team?
I am.
And at some points, did you have access to certain diagrams created by Lieutenant O'Hara within the CERT unit?
Yes, I was.
May I approach the witness, John?
Yes.
Yeah. I like when Mary just said, Officer Paul, I won't mention Higgins Gallagher. I call them checks and balances. Holy crap. During the voir dire, he says during the voir dire to Jackson, well, I was taking notes to get all the checks and balances. Jackson flips out. He goes, where are your notes? Why are these notes not submitted? I want to see these notes. You're keeping checks and balances? I mean, come on. Oh my God, this guy's going to get shredded on Monday. Unbelievable. Checks and balances. Trooper checks and balances.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 135 and 136. That's just, you got to finish. I'm sorry. You recognize those, sir?
He's got a binder.
And, Your Honor, with the court's permission, if I could just publish that briefly for the jury.
Okay.
Ms. Gilman, if I could actually have
Yeah,
136.
totally did. All right, let's see all. I got to see this. Oh, the map.
And Trooper Paul, do you recognize?
And the funny thing is that his recreation of the map essentially would put every single person that night at 34 Fairview had to pass John O'Keefe. So he pretty much concluded that as well with his map. The night night at 34 Fairview, when everybody left, they literally would have driven by John O'Keefe's body on the front lawn if he was there at that
That was up
time.
on the screen as Exhibit 136.
I do.
This is the diagram that you were able to view from the created by Lieutenant Howard searching.
Yes, it was.
And what's contained, at least when this overhead shot, is that fair and accurate trail of the roadway or the conditions of the roadway, absent obviously the weather at the time that you went out there on February 1st.
Correct.
So you can take that. Thank you.
Oh, here's a thought. I'll pause this again. I know everybody goes, why do you guys pause it so much? Because it's a live show and I like to interact with the audience. So anyway, so I'm leaving court today. I'm walking back to my car. This guy pulls up in front of me, gets out of a truck, and he walks over. I'm not going to say his name, but he goes, hey, my name is X from Canton. And I go, oh, God, here we go. I'm going to get harassed or questioned about something or cornered or whatever. So I'm kind of like side eyeballing the guy, doing my stuff and putting all my camera gear away. And he starts asking me questions about the taillight. And he made like actually pretty good point. And I don't know if anybody's ever talked about this because I think we look so deeply into it. But let's just look at surface layer stuff. Okay, so when you go back and you listen to Bukkake, you listen to Proctor, and they say that they kept going. Well, they said they traveled back to the scene. Bukkake says he traveled back to the scene, not on purpose, just kept driving by there to see if any more evidence would reveal itself over the next couple of weeks. What this person I talked to today, he said within a few days, all of that snow was gone. It was melted off the ground because I think he said it got up to, well over 30 or 40 or 50 degrees the next couple of days. And believe me, I can't remember temperature and all that at that time. But he said, it's crazy to think. You would think that within those couple of weeks, all those pieces of taillight, 45 pieces of taillight, are literally laying all out there on the ground. Okay. That you would think that someone didn't walk by, or how about Brian Albert Sr. Didn't come out of his house and walk to his front lawn and said, holy Christ, a Boston police officer died here on my front lawn. He wouldn't go out there to inspect or at least look what was going on. He goes, I find that ridiculous. I mean, all this stories are bullshit. And I was like, wow, that's actually just pretty basic logic. And again, it's just something that I kind of overlooked, and I was like, wow, that made a lot of sense. But kudos to the guy. He didn't harass me. He was very nice. He shook my hand. He said he's a fan of the channel. He was glad that he caught me kind of away from everybody and just had kind of some time to hang out and just talk a little bit. So that was pretty cool. Let's see. Carrie Ann, thank you so much for the $9.99er. Says, what if anything was said of the cell phone witness today? Could anyone make sense of it? Essentially, from what I understand, is it's and I was reading a tweet earlier, and I forget who put it out, and I'm probably going to forget it because I just absorbed a lot of information in the last hour to do this. But essentially, they just said was they confirmed that it was possible that the search could be deleted, but it was just all this fancy wording. I think that when I listened to her, Lally knew that she was a fast talker. She was going to spit a lot of technical information, flipping a lot of stuff past everybody. And the minute she started talking, people were going to pretty much check out and maybe slip one past the jury. Oh, they have this big expert up there that's going to claim that Jennifer McCabe never Googled anything at 2:27 a.m. That's what I got out of it. Fast talking, lots of knowledge, and just throw it at the jury and see if something sticks. It's essentially throw shit against the wall and see if it sticks. I think all of this is going to be debunked when the defense starts their case. I think they've been waiting. And, again, what is their motto? Wait for us. Just wait for us. So I'm telling you, I think they got the goods. Sam DB with a 5 says the Reconstructionist guy didn't find any pieces on the first. That's when he flew his drone. Yes. So we are right now, let's see. me caught up in the chat. All right, let's keep playing through this. What's the Celtics score?
Forgive me, Your Honor, if I could just have 1 second.
Sure. Oh, they started 8:30. I thought it was 8.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
What was the tweet? I'm going to see if I can find the tweet that kind of summed everything up.
So I'm going to retrieve that from you. I'm going to put 2 other photographs before you after the witness finished.
Yep.
And do you recognize those, sir?
I do.
What do you recognize those to be?
They are pictures that were in my report. They're Google images of the roadway.
And one facing from the northbound direction, one facing from the southbound. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Your Honor, may I approach?
It might have been
I'll introduce the minutes and next to consider.
No objection.
I'll need to,
Oh, yeah. By the way, did you see Alan Jackson, the look they gave this guy on his way out of the courtroom today? Oh, he's going to smoke him. Let's see. I want to see. Was it Aiden that tweeted it? Aiden tweeted, it is up to the Commonwealth's witness to convince the jury that Jennifer McCabe did not search for Hoslong to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. She has to explain it in the simplest terms possible without boring the jury to death. Thus far, she has failed. And I remember, oh wait, this is way too much compelling information coming way too fast. And that's what I said. Let's just throw someone up there, spit a whole bunch of stuff. Maybe it gets past the jury. It looks like she's some kind of she's an expert. Again, she has to convince the jury by teaching them, or else they will believe that 227 search is legit. If any of them are confused or can't keep up, they will not be convinced. And I completely agree. And oh, right here. If Jessica Hyde only convinces jurors, it is possible that Jennifer McCabe might not have searched for Hoslong to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. That won't be enough. It still would mean it's possible that she did search it at 2:27, and it's reasonable doubt for Karen Reed. All right, let's keep playing through this. Why do I look so red tonight? What's up with that? I look red tonight.
And Your Honor, with the court's permission, if I could just publish these first return them to the witness and then publish them.
Yes.
Oh my God, Lally. Lally-gagging. He walks away.
Directing your attention to the screen, what you have before you is that, what's up on the screen, excuse me, is that what you have before you now, marked as 582?
Yes, it is.
And if you could, there should be a laser.
Kimba, I'm gonna answer this because like the last week you keep asking the same. I live in the great state of Massachusetts. I live somewhere in the great state of Massachusetts. I hope that answers your question because you've asked a lot. I hope I got an answer for you. All right, let's go.
Pointer on the desk somewhere before you, sir, if you could. Using that laser pointer directs the jury's attention to sort of what we're looking at in this particular photograph of the road.
All right. So this is Ferry Road. It's facing northbound. 34 Fairview Road would be onto the left in this area.
Now, with regard to the roadway, when you went there, what if any observations or what if anything did you know about sort of the roadway surface or markings on the roadway or general overall condition of the road?
The roadway was, there's no significant difference, anything significant with the roadway.
Good one, Donnie.
As far as the roadway material, were you able to observe whether or not it was sort of asphalt, concrete, or anything?
Right. Yes, it was an asphalt roadway.
And as far as the markings within the roadway, what if any observations did you make of those?
There was double yellow stone line, white fog lines both sides of the edge of the road. Is that what we're going after? The roadways?
And then as far as adjacent to the roadway or adjacent to the fog line, what if anything did you observe
So on to, as you look at the picture, the left side has asphalt curbings. These are about 5 inches tall, same on both sides, and there's a sidewalk along the right side of the roadway here.
And the side with the asphalt curbings, that's the same side that 34 Fairview is located on, is that correct?
Correct.
Excuse
Tell
me.
me if I could have the next slide. And Juror Paul, if I could direct your attention to the next decision before you, I think it's 583. And again, sir, what's up on the screen, is that what you have before you as 583?
Yes, it is.
And if you could, again, using the laser pointer, just briefly direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, you know as far as this perspective.
Right there.
Yeah, so this is the
Great.
southbound.
Good time important.
34 Fairview would be on the right side here.
Oh my God, this is terrible.
Ms. Gilman, you can take that.
Right here. Trooper Paul, can you tell me if that's a cloud? Is that a cloud in the scene? Is that a cloud in the picture? Trooper Paul, can you tell me if that's, are those trees? Are those trees? Is that a mailbox? Are those cracks in the road that got filled? Could you please tell me that?
Next decision before you, I think it's 583.
Is that a cloud?
And again, sir, what's up on the screen, is that what you have before
What
you
if
as
anything?
583?
Cloud?
Yes, it is.
And if you could, again, using the laser pointer, just briefly direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, you know as far as from this perspective.
Yeah, so this is the southbound. 34 Fairview would be on the right side here.
Ms. Gilman, you can take that.
Is rain
Okay,
come
approach
from
this retrieve, Your Honor.
rain come from those clouds, sir? Is that rain? Could that formulate rain?
Now, Trooper, with regard to the roadway as far as Fairview Road, what, if anything, did you note in regard to postings regarding the speed limit on that particular roadway?
Yes, the posting for a speed limit is 30 miles per hour. At this area, it's only posted 30 miles per hour for northbound operators, and I believe it was like 19 Fairview Road is posted in front of. For the southbound operators, it was not posted.
And so for a northbound operator, that would again be someone where the residents of 34 Fairview Road will be on the left-hand side of the road, is that correct?
That's correct.
And with regard to the width of the lanes, or what, if any, measurements did you take in regard to the lanes or the roadway itself?
Yeah, each travel lane was approximately 12 feet, and the overall width was approximately 27 feet.
Now, as far as measurements being conducted with regard to the scene, what, if anything, did you use or employ to make those measurements, or what, if any, devices?
Yes, I mapped the scene with it's called a Leica GNSS GPS total station, and also used a drone.
That's a UAS, is that correct?
Correct.
The drone, I mean.
Yes.
And with regard to each of those, as far as the GPS mapping and the drone, have you received any sort of specialized training in regard to employment of each of those tools?
Yes, I have been certified to use the Leica, and I've also have a Part 107 license for the drone.
Now, as far as starting with the Leica or the GPS, if you could explain to the jury sort of what that is and how you use that device in order to determine maps.
Yes, it's essentially what surveyors would use to make roadways. It uses satellites and GPS data plus cell phone data to make marks on the roadway, or actually not marks, but just mark points in the roadway that are within millimeters of the device.
And with regard to the drone device, sir, how does that, can you explain to the jury sort of how that works and how that's used?
Yeah, so the drone, and we fly the drone around the area. We set it to set up a grid pattern to fly around the scene. And while it's flying this grid pattern, it takes a series of photographs. And these photographs are also GPS marked. So once we get all the photographs in, we throw it into a program, and the program will essentially stitch us all together. And then once we get that picture, we throw it into a diagramming system.
And that diagramming system, have you also received training in regard to utilization of that diagramming system?
Yes, I have.
And the one that you're currently using within the CARS unit, what is that diagramming system or software called?
It's IMS 360.
And Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Sir, I'm showing you 4 documents, asking you to just review those. Finish.
Now, real quick, I want to show you something what drone mapping is. Okay, it actually is pretty impressive. I had a case that I was following of a missing girl out in Arizona, and one of the private investigators that was certified in this drone mapping came on my live. Spoke with him quite a few times. His name is Steve Fisher from SF Investigates, and he did drone mapping when they were looking for this missing girl, Chelsea Grimm. And watch how impressive this is. And look at the detail that you can get when you zoom in. So it does get fed into a computer program. They fly a drone up, they map out the area, and then you can literally go down to look at the detail as you zoom in. So that is what drone mapping is. It's mostly used in large areas when you're searching for someone or someone that may have been deceased and they're looking for a body. That's essentially what Steve was using this software for. So it's pretty cool. And again, they map it out and then they feed it into a program. And it's pretty cool. You can see, look at this is where probably someone's driven to some tire tracks. This is a trail, and the detail is so impressive. But that's essentially what drone mapping is. These are the areas that they were searching, looking for Chelsea Grimm. But anyway, we'll go back to the testimony. I just wanted everybody to kind of see what drone mapping was. I don't know how sophisticated it was in this case. I didn't see anything impressive, but it's pretty cool. All right, let's keep playing this. Why do we look red tonight? Let's go red. What's going on?
And do you recognize those, sir?
I do.
And what do you recognize those to be?
These are the diagrams that we print out through the program.
And the last one is the drone image. Is that correct?
Yes, they're all drone images. The last one is just one that was put into my diagram, and I labeled it as a drone image.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Commonwealth to seek to introduce the witness next 4 exhibits.
No objections.
I mean, if you wanted to do an accurate representation of the scene, I mean, that's probably the software that I would have used to actually drone map. And I didn't see anything like that when I was going through this. So, it probably would have been a smarter thing to do to use a program like that. I'm going to just change my light real quick. Hang on. Let's see if it looks so red now. A little better. I'm going to speed this up. Excuse me.
Yes, that's my fault. Thank you very much. Okay, Paul, are you familiar with the term, well, let me ask you this, in regard to the roadway itself, what if anything else beyond sort of lane width and overall width, what if any other measurements did you take there?
So we took measurements for the evidence.
And let me ask it this way, as far as with elevation or incline of the roadway, what if any measurements did you take in regard to that?
Yeah, so we took the elevation and roadway measurements, or the elevation for the roadway.
And where in relation to the residents at 34 Fairview did you take that? Sort of the entire street or just in the general area of that specific address?
In the general area of that specific address.
And from your measurements as far as, well, let me ask you this, how is a measurement regarded to elevation or incline? What kind of tool do you use for that?
We have a level, it's a digital level that we'll place on the roadway, and we'll get a measurement from that.
Now, with regard to the measurements that you took of the elevation or the incline in the roadway, anything, or what if anything of significance did you find from that?
So this roadway had approximately plus or minus 1 to 2 degrees.
So nothing significant, is that fair to say?
Nothing significant, yes.
Now, sir, through your training and experience as a crash reconstructionist, are you familiar with the term related to crash reconstruction called roadway evidence?
Yes.
And can you explain to the jury sort of what your understanding of that term is and what types of things could be termed as roadway evidence?
Roadway evidence is anything that's related to the collision you're investigating at the time. It could be anything from vehicle debris, gouge marks, tire marks, anything that's related to a vehicle or whatever type of crash you are investigating. It could be vehicle or pedestrians.
So any sort of anything from either the vehicle, pedestrian as well, is that correct?
Correct.
So pieces from a vehicle, holding items from a pedestrian, correct?
Yes.
Now, with respect to both your review of the CERT team diagrams as well as speaking with members of the Canton Police Department, were you able to then plot certain pieces of roadway evidence onto those diagrams that you I just showed you a few moments ago?
Going to be good.
Yes, I was.
Now, with reference to, you're familiar also through your training and experience when it comes to pedestrian crashes, as far as sort of the physics or.
Melanie, thank you so much. Gifted 10 memberships. 10 memberships. Welcome in new members. You're going to have a month free membership on Melanie. Thank you so much. And you can find all my members only content on my homepage. Just scroll all the way down and you'll be able to use that membership for a month. That's a $4.99 membership. All I ask this, if you can't afford the $4.99 or just to continue to support the channel, I have a $1.99 level. You can just sign back up and that will keep your membership active and you'll get access to all that members only stuff. And I've been doing a lot of it lately. So check it out. Check it out. Thank you so much. All right, let's keep going.
Kinematics of how pedestrians interact with vehicles in the course of a collision.
Yes, I am.
Now, I'm going to ask you just a couple of terminology questions when it comes to items that are involved in a collision, sort of simple Newtonian physics, Newton's first law. Can you explain what that is to the jury and sort of how that pertains to any collision between two objects?
The first law?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the when an object stays in motion or stays at rest, will stay at motion or rest until acted upon by an outside force.
Newton's theory.
Now, with respect to, are you familiar also with a crash reconstruction term called final rest?
Yes, I am.
And are there different derivations of final rest as far as controlled final rest versus uncontrolled final rest?
Correct.
And can you explain just first to the jury what final rest means in relation to crash reconstruction, and then what, if any, differences there are between a controlled final rest and an uncontrolled final rest?
Yes, the final rest is what we use for describe the area where a pedestrian came to stop after the collision. It's immediately after the collision. This is where they first stopped, or a vehicle. Usually at the collision, it's where this vehicle first stopped. And a controlled final rest is when an operator actually controls the vehicle to the stop, and as opposed to the uncontrolled final rest is when there is no control. It's usually acted upon by outside forces that will control the vehicle or pedestrian to its final rest.
And, Your Honor, with court's permission, if I could publish what's now been marked as exhibits 584 to 587 for the jury.
Yes.
Ms. Gilman, if I could first have a diagram, please. And Your Honor, may I approach this to return the exhibits to the witness? Ms. Gilman, if I could ask you to zoom in just a little bit on that. And now, Trooper, what you have up on the screen, is that what you have before you as first in that
So essentially, this just confirms that everybody left 34 Fairview that night and headed in the direction of where John's body was supposedly at that particular point where everybody said that they didn't see him, they would have saw him. That's essentially what this map is doing. I mean, you would have seen everything. If the cup was there, John's final resting place, where his shoe was, that would have traveled right in the line of your sight leaving that night. It's essentially what this map is doing here.
Yes, it is.
Now, using the laser for your input, I would ask you to draw the jury's attention or direction to what, if anything, of significance you have noted within this diagram.
Okay. Let me use the pointer. Okay. So in this time, I labeled each part of evidence. So right here would be the pedestrian's final arrests, and they're all, since there's so many put together, everything was labeled with a red arrow that would be pointing to where the final arrest is. And this is where a glass cup was found, and these are the red and clear plastic pieces. That's where they were found, and the pedestrian's shoe was found here. The smaller versions here in the light blue is one's the fire hydrants, the flagpole. This is a label for the street 34, and obviously the street name Fairview Road here.
Now,
This is so painful.
as far as measurements were concerned, what, if anything, were you able to do to measure sort of between different points of roadway evidence, or specifically from the pedestrian or Mr. O'Keefe's final arrest in reference to other items that you have depicted on the diagram?
So we're talking about like, so on these diagrams, like it's hard to see here, but it is a scale diagram. The diagram itself is scale. Once you put a roll up to the actual paper, it's scale. I've also have on here, sorry to see, but there's.
Now you look at this and it's like, okay, so you look at the road and you look how far where John's final resting place was. It's like 12 feet from the road. If you're saying that John was hit here on the curb, what you're going to say here in a couple minutes, that his head hit the curb, how the fuck did he end up way over here? He would have fallen right there in the street. How is he ending 12 feet up on that lawn? And the lawn has a little bit of a pitch. This absolutely makes no sense.
I think it's right here. They're called ground control points.
That makes no
The
sense.
little X's on the roadway. They are used for the drones imaging, and using the drone imagings will use those in order to help put the all the pictures back together. At the time of this, I measured between each point from ground control point 1 to 2 and put it as approximately 50 feet. And 2 to 3 is 50 feet and 3 to 4 is 50 feet. So it kind of is a second way to measure off the diagram, and also using the program to measure to different points while using the diagram.
It doesn't even make sense.
And as far as starting with the shoe that you have depicted in this diagram, what was the measurement of the shoe away from Mr. O'Keefe's body?
I believe the shoe was approximately, I have my thing, it's approximately 10 feet away.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, may the trooper refer to his report just for the specific measurements?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Brittany's got it. That's essentially what I'm trying to figure out here. He gets hit, spins, supposedly hits his head on the curb. He literally would have to pogo, and I'm trying not to make light of the situation. Please, don't get me wrong here. I'm not trying to be offensive, but I'm trying to figure this out. So he's hit, he would have to fall back, hit his head on the curb, and literally bounce up like a pogo stick to end up 11 or 12 feet up near the flagpole. It makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. If he was hit, he would have fallen back and hit his curb on the cement and then laying in the street. He wouldn't bounce up like a pogo stick and end up on the lawn. Seriously, if he was hit, he would have flown back at that speed, hit his head on the concrete in the street, and been laying there, knocked out or whatever. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
It's
sorry,
literally
Trooper, with
not-
regard to the shoe, how far away approximately was that from Mr. O'Keefe's body?
9 feet.
And did you also have a measurement for how far away the glass cup pieces were from Mr.
Yeah.
O'Keefe's body?
Right.
Yeah, 1 foot.
And for the red plastic, you have labeled on this diagram as A. How far away from Mr. O'Keefe's body was that?
7 feet.
Now, with regard to the directionality, you also measured sort of directionality as far as the 9 feet that the shoe was away. Which direction was it?
Each evidence was measured from the pedestrian's final rest. So the shoe was 9 feet southeast from the pedestrian's final rest.
And if you could, using the laser pointer on the screen, as far as the directionality of this, or if you could first.
Yeah, it was probably through the shoe after they dragged him out there and left him on the ground.
Direct the jury's attention to where Mr. O'Keefe's final rest is, and then as far as the directionality is southeast from that, where is it?
Okay. So right here, pedestrian's final rest, it's more right there. The shoe is right here. So it would be kind of southeast. I have an arrow pointing north to kind of give it extra.
And the glass cup that was 1 foot away, which direction?
There's an incline there, yeah.
It was about 1 foot north. I think it was found like right next to him. So
And the red plastic that you have labeled as A, again, that was 7 feet. Which direction was that, sir?
that one was east. So it's right here.
As far as the clear plastic, what was the measurement and what was the directionality to that item, sir?
10 feet southeast. So we're about over here.
And the red plastic that you have labeled on the diagram is B. How far was that and what
I
direction?
mean, literally, the way that I would look at this diagram right now, with everything the way where it is, okay? I mean, you would think that these items that are in question would be closer to John's body. I mean, John would be in the street if he was hit. He wouldn't pogo up and land on the lawn and then everybody. This literally looks like a mortar. Like, to me, it literally looks like a mortar round was dropped right here and everything just blew up and went in different directions. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And this is actually pretty poor drone mapping because what I showed before is way more detailed. This guy, his digital drone mapping is terrible. I mean, if you want, and again, I'll pull it up really quick. And I don't know if Microdot saw this before when I pulled it up, but if you want to look at actually real drone mapping, you would have something like this. Where is it? Nope, that's not it. Hang on, let me go back. It would look like this. This is good, clear drone mapping. This was, again, from a missing girl. This is what, I mean, look at the detail in that. It would look something like this. They would zoom in that area and show you the arrows. This is what, where we had it. Look at the detail in the bushes and the trees. All right, let's go back to testimony here. God, this is terrible. If this is what they're rolling with.
That was 12 feet southeast. Now it's found right here.
Okay. Sir, if I could direct your attention to the next exhibit before your diagram number 2 in this if I could have that, please. Sir, do you recognize what's depicted up on the screen?
Yes, I do.
And if you could, again, using the laser pointer, what, if anything, of significance to observe in this particular diagram in reference to the roadway evidence?
It's just essentially the same diagram. It's just a closer up version of it. So you had, yeah. So you saw the pedestrians final rest, glass cup, plastic pieces, the shoe. It's all still depicted in the diagram.
And the red arrows that you had indicated, delineated, or depicted sort of from where the words are to where the items were, is that present in this diagram as well?
Correct.
If I could direct your attention to the next exhibit before you, and if I could have diagram 3, Ms. Gill. And again, Trooper, do you recognize what's up on the screen?
I do.
And if you could just describe to the jury what are we looking at in this diagram?
Yeah, the
Yeah, so this is just a closer up to the evidence. It's a little smaller scale.
Micro.
And these diagrams are created from photographs so with the drone overhead on that day of February 1st. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And if I could direct your attention to the last exhibit within those.
Oh, that's a drone image. Drone image.
And again, sir, if you could, you recognize what's up on the screen?
I do.
Could you describe to the jury again using the laser pointer to delineate what, if anything, is significant to observe in this drone photograph and diagram you have on?
Yeah, so this is from my report. It's the same diagram. Has the same amount of evidence on here. There's a house. There's a light pole here. These lines here, which I mentioned earlier, were the edge of the road and the edge of the sidewalk.
Thanks. Someone you can take that down.
All right, Mr. Lally, why don't we pause here for the luncheon recess? Trooper Paul will have you back with us a second, okay?
Thank you.
And if you follow the jurors out, please.
Thank you. You can see it close back.
Just watch your step for me.
Afternoon, Trooper. All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Your Honor, with court's permission, may we have exhibit 587 back up on the screen?
Yes.
And Ms. Gilman, that's the drone image.
Yeah.
Trooper Paul, direct your attention to what's up on the screen that's now been marked as exhibit 587. Again, this is the last set of 4 diagrams of drone images that I presented before you before, correct?
Correct.
Now, with respect to the evidence, specifically pieces of taillight that are depicted within this diagram, did you put every single piece of taillight that was recovered on January 29th within this diagram?
No, I did not.
Fair to say you did also not put every piece of taillight that you're aware was recovered over the course of this investigation and depicted in this particular diagram.
That's correct.
Now, with respect to this particular area of Fairview Road, understanding that you were there in the daytime, correct?
Yes.
However, when you were there in the daytime, what, if any, note did you take as to sort of overhead lighting or available sort of ambient street lighting in the area?
Yeah, so on the top corner, I'll try to right up here, there's a light pole right there, overhead light pole.
And with relation to where you've marked as far as the final rest position of Mr. O'Keefe and the other areas of items of evidence that were recovered from the scene, was there any lighting in that particular area?
There wasn't.
Ms. Gilman, you can take that down. Mr. Officer, we can have that's back. Thank you very much. Now, turning your attention, sir, back to February 1st, 2022. At some point, you were at the Canton Police Department, correct?
Yes.
And where specifically within the Canton Police Department did you go?
To the back in the garage area.
And within the garage area, what, if anything, did you do in the garage area?
In the garage area is where we imaged the airbag control module.
Oh,
And
this
so,
is
I'm sorry, it's fair to say the vehicle, the defendant's vehicle was located in that garage area?
That is correct.
And you imaged that vehicle, and what, if anything, else did you do with respect to that vehicle that day?
At that point, we just analyzed the damage to the vehicle.
Now, at some point, did you perform any sort of mechanical inspection of the vehicle?
Yes.
Was that day or at some later?
It was that day.
And was that in the garage area itself, or where did you perform the mechanical inspection of the vehicle?
We analyzed a little bit of the steering and the brake pedals while it was sitting in the garage. Then we did testing with it on the in the driveway next to Canton PD.
That would completely replicate the scene doing testing in the Canton PD driveway. This is going to be very interesting. Okay.
Now, sir, starting with a visual inspection of the vehicle. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm showing you photographs. Just do those, look up when you finish. Do you recognize those?
I do.
And what do you recognize those to be?
They are crime scene photos that I've attached to my report.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth is seeking to introduce and admit as the next two exhibits.
Objection, Your Honor.
Yep. Sorry.
Ooh, excuse me. Long day. Been up since 5:30.
5:28, 5:89. Thank you.
Your Honor, may I return those to the witness?
Yes.
And Your Honor, with court's permission.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Let's see
A moment, John.
what he says here. Well, he documented the broken glass on the bumper. This would be interesting.
And Trooper Paul, do you recognize what's up on the screen right now?
Yes, I do.
That's excellent use of crime scene tape right there. It's a very secure scene. Now, I have a problem already. They are presenting this to the jury, okay? This is the potential murder weapon that not only murdered someone, but murdered a Boston police officer, according to the Commonwealth. And this is how they secure that vehicle inside the Sally Port. Good stuff. Real good securing the evidence. Excellent stuff.
Do you recognize that?
That's one of the crime scene photos that I attached to my report.
And what's contained in this, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of sort of the front of this vehicle, looking at it from the passenger side?
Yes.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have the next photograph, please. And Trooper, do you recognize what's up on the screen now?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize that?
That's a crime scene photo that I attached to my report with notations that I made on it.
And what's
So wait a minute. If John broke the taillight, how the flippin' hell did you get scratches and dents over in this area and none of the light is broken here? Looks like a lot of impact. I mean, you dented this area. I would think that if your body or your head or all of this stuff that they say happened, John's, I would think how the hell is this piece of taillight not broken? Apparently, this is the whole impact here, but you have a scratch and a dent here. Wouldn't this crack as well? Right? Wouldn't that piece of lens be popped out or broken? Or, I mean, you've now saying that something has hit this so hard that it created a dent. And I'm going to believe right here in this piece of tailgate, well, back is probably about this big. And I would think because that metal is so short, the elasticity of it, and again, I'm not an expert, so just bear with me here. The elasticity of that, or flexion of that metal, is probably a lot stronger than hitting it here like on the quarter panel, where you have such a bigger area and it's much easier to push that metal in and out a lot easier. This would be a lot stronger in here because it's a lot smaller piece of metal. Molecules are more tighter together. And again, molecules are a lot tighter together. I would think the strength would be a lot more here in this piece of metal than something like over here. I don't get it.
Contained in this photograph, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of what you observed in the rear passenger side area of the defendant's vehicle in the garage on February 1st?
Yes, it is.
Now,
Yeah.
step back a little bit here. With regards to what you've noted within this, if you could, using the laser pointer before you, just direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, of significance you observed in your inspection of this area of the Lexus.
Okay. So on the left side here, I put down that scratches, and there's a dent there. The broken taillight here was here. There's some scratches on the bottom right rear bumper here. And there was glass from a cut back on the bumper.
As far as the glass on the bumper, what, if any, observations did you make of that in relation to the vehicle itself?
Yeah, it appeared to be from a cup as opposed to any glass that came from the vehicle.
Objection.
So I'll strike the first part of the answer, but the second part will stand.
I have no objections in the second part. Thank you.
Now, with regard to the dents that you've delineated within this photograph, did you take any measurements from the ground as to?
I mean, literally, the way that they're describing this, you have damage here to the car, obviously the broken taillight. Now they're saying the scratches down here. That literally would have to put, like, literally put John's whole body across that area. But yet, no injuries to his legs, no injuries to his ribs, no injuries to his abdomen, no injuries to his lungs, no injuries literally from the neck down, except for a defensive wound that's on his hand and then the dog bites that are on his arm. This doesn't make any sense.
Where that was located?
Yes, I did.
And how far did you measure the dent to be approximately from the ground?
Approximately 48 to 50 inches from the ground.
And what, if any, measurements did you take as far as from one part of the vehicle to the other, as far as where the dents were located?
Yeah, so it was approximately 19 inches.
Yeah, literally, like one of those, you know, like when they diagram someone out, like they trace them. That's literally what I'm trying to do here. And I'm trying not to be funny. I'm trying not to make this a funny situation, but I'm literally logically looking at this and saying, how the hell could that happen? It literally have to look like Spider-Man clinging on the back of Karen's SUV. It literally makes no sense. Doesn't make any sense.
Inches from the right side of the vehicle.
Now, the scratches that you were talking about before, where were they in relation to the dent?
Right above the dent. I see right there. That's my hand shaky.
Now, as far as you obviously also made observations of the driver's side taillight as well.
Yes.
And so, from what you observed of the driver's side taillight versus the passenger side taillight, what, if any, observations did you make as far as the color of the pieces that you found missing from the passenger side taillight?
As compared just to the left side of the taillight?
Yes.
So on the left side of the taillight, there was red and clear plastic pieces.
Now, the scratch marks along the bumper, did you take any measurements with relation to them?
Yes.
And specifically, did you take measurements from the ground to where they were located?
Yes.
What did you measure those?
They were approximately 27 to 28 inches from the ground.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wynn, you can take that down.
I want to get to the report. There it is.
Now, Trooper Paul, we can talk about a mechanical inspection of a vehicle just first in general terms. What is it that you're doing with respect to the vehicle in order to conduct that mechanical inspection?
So when we do mechanical inspections, we're obviously checking the steering, make sure the steering moves properly, the brake pedals, make sure they are firm, make sure the accelerator pedal moves back and forth. Just generally looking at the tires, make sure there's no issues with the vehicle.
And what, if any, observations did you make of the vehicle itself as far as any defects or anything to do with the braking, the tires, or any of the other areas that you inspected?
We didn't observe any mechanical defects with the vehicle.
Now, with relation to the weight of the vehicle, what, if any, analysis, or what, if anything, did you determine as to the weight of the Lexus?
The way the Lexus item was on an analysis was just based on I think I have the gross vehicle weighting for the vehicle.
And how much did the vehicle weigh according to gross weight?
I think it was approximately 7,000 pounds.
Now, with respect to the lights of the vehicle and the tail lights and the headlights, what, if anything, did you determine those to be as far as what type of lights were they?
They were LED. Both they were headlights and taillights were both LED.
And if you could just expound a little as far as LED lights, what if any significance does that have to you, or what kind of lights are LED? How bright are LED lights?
LED well, most comparison to what most people think in car and taillights, where I have the bulbs, where they have the filaments. LED is more electronically controlled. They sense, there's a sensor that will light up, as opposed to a bulb type headlight and taillights.
Now, are you familiar with an organization called NHTSA?
Yes.
And what does NHTSA stand for?
It's the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And what, if anything, did you do with regard to NHTSA in respect to this vehicle itself?
We run the vehicle through NHTSA to see if there's any recalls on the vehicle.
And what, if any, recalls did you discover when you ran this particular vehicle to NHTSA?
There were no recalls.
And to be specific, we're talking about this specific vehicle as opposed to just Lexus's in general make and model, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we put the VIN into the system, and it will tell you if this vehicle has any recalls to it.
Now, you indicated on February 1st at some point you did some testing with the vehicle. Is that correct?
Correct.
And where was that testing done, and what did it consist of?
It was done in the parking lots of Canton PD on the same day. We did a forward braking test, a reverse braking test, and a reverse acceleration test.
Now, the parking lot of the Canton Police Station where you did this, what kind of roadway surface was that?
It's an asphalt surface.
Similar to the asphalt surface at 34 Fairview Road, is that correct?
Correct.
And what was the condition of the roadway as far as how dry or wet was the roadway when you conducted these acceleration and braking tests?
It was wet at the time.
And with respect to your understanding of January 29th, 2022, with the asphalt surface in front of 34 Fairview Road, what was the condition weather-wise as far as that roadway surface at the time of this collision?
At the time of the collision?
Yes.
What I understand is it was snowy, so the asphalt road had been fairly wet from snow.
Now, when you conducted these acceleration and braking tests with the defendant's vehicle, what, if anything, what, if any, tool or what, if any, implement did you use in the course of that testing?
We use a device called it's called a V-Box. This one's V-Box Sport. The device is attached to the windshield, and then it's also attached by an antenna that goes to the roof. And then basically V-Box, do you want to explain what V-Box is?
Please.
Okay. So a V-Box is it measures performance for the vehicle. It uses GPS data to measure the speeds and its location. Use that it'll give us how fast we were stopping, a drag factor for the roadway for that specific vehicle and type of road, and acceleration factors. So we attach that to the windshield, just kind of give me a way to check its acceleration, check its performance.
And sorry, Your Honor, one moment, please.
Sure.
So the V-Box is attached to that vehicle, so what specifically is it measuring?
So yeah, it's using the GPS data to apply its location, and so it's measuring its speeds and using the speed and the location, putting that together. And once you use the app through the V-Box and accept certain parameters as you can go, I want 30 miles per hour, 20 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour, and it'll set your vehicle. So when you go to 30 miles per hour, it'll tell you what you're doing at 30, what you're doing at 20, what you're doing at 10. And then it'll know if you're doing braking or acceleration tests. And it'll use those numbers that you have to give you, your acceleration factor or braking factor for the vehicle.
And so from the V-Box Sports device that you use, and you've received training as it applies to using that device?
Yes, I have.
And certification as well?
It's usually just training on it.
Now, with respect to the V-Box Sport as it's attached to that vehicle, that's measuring specifically from that vehicle with those tires on that roadway surface that day, correct?
That's correct.
Now, with regard to that testing on that day, you did some acceleration or reverse acceleration tests, is that correct?
Correct.
And how many of those tests did you conduct?
2.
And describe to the jury sort of how you conducted those tests or what speeds you were using or sort of that process of the 2 reverse acceleration tests that you conducted that day.
So the reverse acceleration test we conducted, we set the parameters up to at least 25 miles per hour. So what we did is we try to come from a stop at 0 and then press the accelerators all the way about as hard as I could press it and try to go back and see how fast I can get to 25 miles per hour and see what the performance did at that time.
And what, if any, kind of data did you see with the V-Box Sport using during those 2 reverse acceleration tests?
It gave me an acceleration factor. It gave me its speeds and times and distances that it was at each location.
And if you could explain to the jury sort of when you say acceleration factor, what is an acceleration factor?
It's just a number of how fast the vehicle could travel from an acceleration. And it could be a light acceleration to a medium acceleration, a hard acceleration. They all have a different number that you can use to kind of relate it back to what the acceleration is for that vehicle.
And what was the acceleration factor that you were able to obtain with those 2 reverse acceleration tests?
I believe this was I had 0.317, I believe.
Now, during the course of those the reverse acceleration tests that you conducted on that day, what, if anything, did you know? Well, let me ask you this. As far as the operation of the vehicle, who was actually physically operating the vehicle?
I was actually operating the vehicle.
And what, if anything, did you know during your operation of that vehicle during the reverse acceleration test that you conducted?
We also noted the accelerator pedal moved freely. There was no binding. There were no interference from anything on the floor. Nothing interfered with the accelerator pedal. It worked as it's supposed to.
And when you're doing this reverse acceleration test, how are you, if at all, are you manipulating the steering wheel at all, or is it a straight line test, or how is the test? How is the vehicle directed during the test?
So I try to keep it fairly straight.
And when you accelerated in reverse in a fairly straight fashion with the steering wheel, what, if anything, did you note about that?
They kept the vehicle fairly straight. It was fairly easy to keep control of.
Now, in addition to the 2 reverse acceleration tests, what, if any, testing did you do with regard to reverse braking?
Yeah, so we conducted 2 reverse braking tests.
And again, similar, can you describe to the jury, this is also with the V-Box Sport attached, is that correct?
Correct.
So you're obtaining data from that as well?
Yes.
And during the course of the reverse braking test, what, if anything, first as far as data is concerned, how fast were these tests being conducted? What, if anything, was input, and what, if any, data did you see?
Jackie.
Yeah, so the reverse braking one, we try to get up to about 30 miles per hour. And then
Painful.
once we get up to that speed, that's when we apply the brakes, try to brake brakes fairly hard to try to get the vehicle to stop.
And are you also familiar with the term known as a deceleration factor?
Correct.
Can you explain to the jury what that is?
It's just essentially the opposite of an acceleration factor. This is a number for how fast the vehicle would slow down.
And with regard to the deceleration factor from the 2 reverse braking tests that you conducted on that date, what, if any, figure did you receive from the instrument from the V-Box Sport?
For the reverse braking?
Yes.
I believe this one was so it gets you a drag factor number for this vehicle too, and it's our deceleration factor, which is both are used the same way. This one was I think it was 7.1.
Now, with regard, again, you're operating the vehicle during these 2 reverse braking tests, is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
What, if anything, did you note?
I was just thinking that Microdots. Microdot says he didn't match the curve of the road. He went straight on a closed parking lot. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you're going to do a reconstruction test, and you can go actually to Turtle Boy's page, his YouTube page, and they've recreated, I think he recreated it 3 times. And every single time that he recreated it, he hit that curve. That is a factor in all of this. The grade of the road is a factor. That curve is a factor. So to go in and just say that you just do this you just do this backup test in a straight line does not accurately represent what the Commonwealth is saying that happened that day. So again, they're manipulating the supposed evidence in this case. They're actually manipulating for themselves by this guy saying like, hey, I just backed up straight. This is painful. I think we're just gonna keep going through the series of tests that he performed. I want to go to that document because I know dates and times were missing on it. So let's go here. I'm gonna speed up about 5 minutes. I think they're reviewing the document here. All the testing or the.
And how many triggers was it?
Let's see the triggered events.
Can we count them?
Does he have to count them, Mr. Lally?
No, I don't think he has to count them. Sir, if I could direct you to paragraph 22.
Oh, yeah. So 22 separate triggers. Those are, so in my report, it says 22 separate triggers that occur 12.665 to 12.666.
And with regard to the mileage that you noted as far as being between miles 12.665 and miles 12.666, that's 12,665 to 12,666, correct?
Correct.
And what was the mileage that you observed on the vehicle at inspection?
12,665.
And at the time that you conducted this Toyota TechStream download from the vehicle, what was the mileage at that time?
12,666.
Just going to pipe this up real quick. Microdot says the loudness of her engine acceleration is important, but they show a video. Yeah, there was no sound in that video. I noticed that too. It is very, very deceptive. And John wasn't deaf. Yeah, because if they're saying that engine noise would cue someone to get out of the way. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And there's also reference within the vehicle control history data in regard to something called a key cycle. Is that correct?
Correct.
Can you explain to the jury sort of what a key cycle is and what are the different things that could?
A key cycle is essentially, so it's from the ignition cycle. Let's take that. So a key cycle is essentially from when the vehicle's off, it's pressed on. It doesn't necessarily need to be running or turned on. It just needs to be turned on and then off again. And that'd be one key cycle.
Now, with relation to your analysis in regard to the vehicle control history, what, if any, role did the key cycle numbers or what kind of role did that play in your analysis?
Yeah,
it shows me where how far away they were from each other. The key cycles were.
And how far away in what terms?
So when I turned the vehicle on, when I did my testing, it showed me what key cycle was that I was on when I did those testings, and then the odometer mileage in relationship to that.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right, Microdots.
Sir, I'm showing you the documents. He's asking you to look at that. Look up. Finish.
Welcome in, everybody. I just had a huge flux of people come in. Good to see everybody here. Smash that like button when you come in. I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We're just going through the testimony today. I felt that Trooper Paul was obviously the most compelling testimony. We're kind of cutting some holes in his story here with all of the fantastic people that are in the chat. Also want to let everybody know any donation that comes in tonight, Cash App, Super Chat, however it may be, 25% of your donation will be kicked back to Karen Reed defense team. It's what we do here on these streams, and I go through the posting and transparency so y'all can see that. So if you're the first time on the channel over here, where's everybody coming in from? Because it's literally got a flux of like 200 people that just came in, and then I just had like. Sorry, let's.
And do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
And what do you recognize that?
That is the table from the vehicle control history from my report.
Yeah,
Your
right.
Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm off to introduce the minutes and exhibit.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. The 591.
Yeah, 100%.
Your Honor, may I have a moment and then return it to the witness?
Yes.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, if I could ask to publish this for the jury.
Oh, this will be good. I love the no dates and times. That's very, very.
Trooper Paul, what's up on the screen? Is that the exhibit that you have before you?
Yes, it is.
Now, if
I want to note everybody right here. Let me just go back a little bit. If you didn't catch this earlier on this document, pull it up. What does it say here? Time and date. There's no times and dates. So again, they're just trying to play smoke and mirrors with this jury. They're hoping that they can fill in all this data over here, all this data over here, and all this data over here, and the jury's going to look past these times and dates.
Trooper Paul, what's up on the screen? Is that the exhibit that you have before you?
Yes, it is.
Now, if you could, using the laser pointer before you, just direct the jury's attention to what we're looking at in this exhibit and what type of information and where it's located within this exhibit.
Okay, so this is the vehicle control history. Every single point here, this is where the triggers are. This is the labels for each trigger. Odometer mileage is on this label here. These are the elapsed time and key cycles. I have noted through arrows here, these were when the vehicle was with us, and a lot of this is related to my testing with the vehicle. And these right before that were the triggers that were prior to those testings.
Now, from the within this table, sir, there are two triggers reported at odometer mile 12,629.
Yes.
And what's the key cycle associated with 12,629?
1,162.
Now, these triggers that are contained as far as the 12,629, that's prior to
You have to either come close or speak up even louder, Mr. Howard.
I will speak louder.
There's no microphone near you. That's the problem for the court reporter.
My issue is, Your Honor, there's no light over here.
All right, so let's turn the light on and then you can ask your question, then we'll turn the light right back off, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. My apologies. So that odometer mile, as far as two triggering events, at 12,629, correct?
Yes.
And that occurs prior to the 12,665, 12,666 during the course of your braking and acceleration test, correct?
Correct.
And the mileage difference between those two, did you do that math?
Yes.
What was the mileage difference between the two?
36.
And how many key cycles were different between your testing and that odometer reading of 12,629?
2 key cycles.
Now, as far as the, what if any information did you have and where did you get it in relation to the defendant's vehicle's path of travel prior to those odometer readings that you noted when you did your
Yeah, so I was told that where she traveled afterwards or prior to that, I was noted their locations, and I used those locations through Google to get a mileage for them.
May I approach her?
Yes.
Oh, you have documents that you recognize?
I do.
What do you recognize that?
Those are the Google directions. I put them in a table and put in my report.
And may I approach her?
Yes.
I'm wanting to introduce the exhibit next exhibit.
No objection.
Thank you.
All right, I have 1 minute, Sean.
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Sean?
Yes.
And Your Honor, witness, if I can publish this adjourned.
Okay.
Someone, if you could, enlarge to make this a little. Now, Trooper Paul, do you recognize what's up on the screen as the next exhibit before you?
Yes, I do.
And these are again, if you could explain to the jury sort of what we're looking at here and how you came to these mileage tools.
All right, I don't need to hear about mileage quotes. Let's move up a little bit.
I do. It's the data chart from the 12,629 miles A chart.
May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Almost seek to introduce the minutes of the next exhibit.
No objection.
I want to hear his theory of how John got hurt.
The 593.
Are we getting close?
And again, if I could just have a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
May I return the switch, Your Honor?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so with the document before you, what's now up on the screen, do you recognize that as what's now been marked as the next exhibit?
I do.
And if you could describe to the jury sort of what these rows indicate as far as what information is there, and if you could, using the laser pointer, direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, of significance you observed in this as far as 12,629 miles A.
Okay. So each row, starting from the top, is the vehicle.
I don't need to see this. I want to see. Let's see. Let's speed up a little bit.
It's the one, the 12,000, the data chart from my.
We're going to talk about mileage and data chart. I want to see some reconstruction here.
So go ahead and publish it if you're inclined. 596.
I know. I'm trying to want to get to his theory. I want to see the interior pictures he took in the video.
Paul, do you recognize what's up on the screen? It has now been marked as exhibit 596.
I do.
And again, if you could, using the laser pointer, let me ask you this first. As far as this table and this information up on the screen, I should have asked this before. I
mean, if you're a juror and you're looking at this right now, what are you thinking? Like, literally, if you're a juror right now and you're looking at, I'm just seeing a set of numbers, okay? I don't see, there's no dates, there's no time. It's literally an Excel spreadsheet that this guy made. I mean, if I was a juror right now, I literally would be sleeping. I wouldn't be paying any attention to this. Microdots jumping in and says they hate giving times. Being held to a timeline is to cover Upper's worst enemy. I agree. Kennedy, thanks for becoming a new member. I appreciate that. Let's add $5 to the running total for Karen tonight. I mean, literally. Let's see. Onyx, look at this, new subscriber. Thank you so much. Buffalo, New York. Awesome. Great coverage. Thank you. Literally, what if I'm a juror right now? I'm like, what the hell are we looking at? What are we looking at here? I would be completely lost. There's no dates, there's no times. It's a spreadsheet. It's literally a spreadsheet. Michael says, note the speed increased from 12.4 to 21.1 in 0.5 seconds. Interesting. Everybody said they fell asleep during these pointless charts. I want to get to like his theory. Let's see. Let's speed up a little bit more.
Somewhere he could have struck his head in there, or somewhere along.
Here we go. Here's the
yeah,
theory.
on that just a little bit.
Here's the theory. All right, we're gonna get to the theory here. This is Mr. Checks and Balances theory of how John got injured.
It's the sudden change of speed at 24.2 to 23.6 in a half second, while the accelerator pedal is still at a consistent 74%. And also the steering wheel angle goes left at 4.5 degrees and also goes right to 4.5 degrees and then goes back to left after that. So right at that spot is something that's consistent with a pedestrian strike.
Now, with respect to,
I love this. Frank B says the best part of this, Trooper Paul's reverse odometer mileage completely negates Tully's testimony about Karen's missing 30-minute trip near the body from 2 days ago. Indy Cindy, thanks for becoming a new member. Let's add $5 to the running total. That's a good call out.
Mr. O'Keefe,
that's all very smart and very observant.
In this collision, what, if any, data were you able to see or review in relation to your reconstruction analysis in this case?
Say
As far as Mr. O'Keefe, what, if anything, did you learn about his?
He says, now, let's just give us your theory. What do you think, Bud? What do you think happened? And he's like, oh, you want me to tell you? You want to hear what I'm going to tell you? Remember, it's going to be the pogo stick theory.
Like what types of injuries he had?
Yes.
Yeah, there were blunt force injuries. I mean, it was abrasions or lacerations, and blunt force injuries.
How about dog
And
bites?
the injuries that you observed or that you were informed about, that you learned this from the medical examiner, is that correct?
Correct.
And with respect to the injuries Mr. O'Keefe was recorded as having sustained, according to the medical examiner, what, if any, relationship did those injuries have to you in relation to a pedestrian collision?
Sorry, say it again.
As far as the injuries that you were informed by the medical examiner that Mr. O'Keefe had sustained,
Yes.
what, if any, relationship did those injuries have in relation to a pedestrian collision?
They are consistent with a pedestrian collision.
And how so?
Okay, so let's go back to what he's claiming now. Okay, let's go back to literally, we just sat through, I don't know, an hour of all this data. Okay, and let's just go back to basics. Okay, so he's saying that none of the sensors triggered anything, but supposedly Karen Reed's SUV hits John O'Keefe so hard that the impact is enough to shatter a taillight, create a dent on the far side where the extended lens is for the taillight, in that area of the SUV that's probably one of the stronger points on the back of, let's say, that tailgate. Okay, caused scratches, and it was enough to break a glass, this drinking glass that they're saying. Okay, so then John gets hit, supposedly falls back, hits his head like he's going to say, and then the impact from that is going to vault John 12 feet, 13 feet in the air, and he's going to rest over here. But that violent encounter with Karen Reed's SUV and John O'Keefe didn't trigger the sensor. And he says, well, that is very common with pedestrian strikes. That absolutely makes zero fucking sense. 0 cents. I'm sure it would have triggered or caused some sensor to go off in Karen's SUV. This is ridiculous.
Due to, I mean, we can break down each injury due to the arm, the lacerations of the arm from the tail light, the dent where the scratches for his hand could be. Those are something that would be consistent with this in this particular case with striking the Lexus.
Now,
real quick, $20 came in from Onyx. Onyx, thank you so much for the 20. We'll add that to the roll in total. 25% of your donation will get kicked back to Karen Reed's defense fund. All right, let's go.
specifically with reference to this case, what, if any, analysis did you conduct with regard to kinematics?
Yes, I did a kinematics analysis in my report. Kinematics deals with the aspect of motion.
And I'm sorry, if you could expand upon that just a little bit and explain to the jury sort of what a kinematics analysis is.
So kinematics analysis is, like I said, it deals with the aspects of motion. Pedestrian crashes get labeled in certain types of how they interact. So in this particular case, I kind of labeled it as it's a forward projection crash with a side swipe. And what I mean by forward projection means that when a pedestrian gets struck by a vehicle, well, basically their principal impact forces are above the pedestrian center of gravity, as in this case where you get the higher back of the vehicle. When you get struck by something like that, it projects you forward in the direction of the vehicle. And in this situation,
Wait a minute. I think this guy just screwed himself. Hang on.
and where he gets more struck through the side of the vehicle along the taillight area, that it projected him to forward and to the left due to this more of a side swipe manner.
Now, with respect
So if anything, if he got hit in his arm, I'll give him the spin, but he wouldn't spin 180. He literally would spin this way and fall. He just said that if you're hit in a direction, you would follow that direction. So he literally, let's just say he gets hit here. That would spin him this way, and he would just travel back. Am I right? Gets hit here, that would spin you this way, and you would probably either fall on your face. You would fall on your face because it would spin you around. And the motion of that, like if I push you on your arm, I push you here, you're going to spin, and you probably would fall forward and put your hands out to, that natural reflex. So this guy is making zero sense. So he just killed his own theory. He would be hit and you would spin, but how, if he got hit here, how did he end up over there? It doesn't make any sense, because that would be physics. You would just spin this way, and you probably would fall forward at that point and put your hands out to brace yourself. Not get hit and then get hit here, and then you're going to fly back. Oh, wait, but he hit his head first. So he hits his head, and then maybe, I don't know. So he hits his head, and it goes back to my pogo theory. I don't know.
To the, you mentioned the height of the vehicle, as far as the shape of the back of the vehicle. What if
Anyway, let's just say, all right, yeah. Here, it's, I don't even know how that's possible. He would have got run over.
relationship does that have in regard to you sort of labeling this as a forward projection / side swipe collision?
Yeah, due to it being pretty flat, it's not the front of the vehicle where you have the hood and the pedestrian staying above the hood. It's the back of the vehicle. It's pretty flat and it's pretty higher up.
Now, with respect, you also made aware through your review of the medical examiner's report that there was injury to the back of Mr. O'Keefe's head.
I gotta hear this one.
And based on your training experience in particular with pedestrian collisions, what, if any, significance did that have in relation to your opinion as to how Mr. O'Keefe interacted with the defendant?
So
Real quick before we get to this, Jason B, thank you for the $5. You're awesome. Says the key cycles on that report prove within 100% certainty that Karen Reed's SUV reversed. The key cycles on that report prove within 100% certainty that when Karen Reed's SUV reversed going 24 miles per hour, it couldn't have been when she dropped off John. Thanks for the 5.
when you look at the damage, he would have interacted with that left side of the vehicle. And when he got struck by the vehicle on the left side, it would have caused his vehicle to rotate kind of counterclockwise. And then when that rotation, he could turn into his back, and his back could have struck the ground. I noted at the scene that there was asphalt curbing, which could have, somewhere he could have struck his head in there, or somewhere along any of the pavement would have caused damage. Most forward projection crashes.
I'm going to tell you right now, this guy is not confident in what he's saying. You notice when he's going through repeating this, what is he doing? He's looking down. When someone is confident of ensure that their prediction or their theory is correct, they're going to look you right in the eyes, or he may look and turn to the jury. This guy is not confident. I'm going to rewind that because I just started picking up on this. When he's telling his theory, watch, he looks down an awful lot. And that's either you're lying or you're not confident in what you're saying. Let's watch here. Let's watch the body language. And again, I'm not a body language expert, but I just pick up on things. I was in sales. I've been in sales for 30 years, and I know body language.
Yeah. Upon that, just a little bit, and explain to the jury sort of what a kinematics analysis is.
So kinematics analysis is, like I said, it deals with the aspects of motion. Pedestrian crashes get labeled in certain types of how they interact. So in this particular case, I kind of label it as it's a forward projection crash with a side swipe.
Speed up a little bit here.
Labeled as it's a forward projection crash with a side swipe. And what I mean by forward projection means that when a pedestrian gets struck by a vehicle, well, basically their principal impact forces are above the pedestrian's center of gravity, as in this case where you get the higher back of the vehicle. When you get struck by something like that, it projects you forward in the direction of the vehicle. And in this situation where he gets more struck through the side of the vehicle along the taillight area, that it projected him to forward and then to the left due to this like more of a side swipe manner.
Now, with respect to the, you mentioned the height of the vehicle, as far as the shape of the back of the vehicle, what if any relationship does that have in regards to sort of labeling this as a forward projection / side swipe collision?
Yeah, due to it being pretty flat, it's not the front of the vehicle where you have the hood and the pedestrian staying above the hood. It's the back of the vehicle. It's pretty flat and it's pretty higher up.
Now, with respect, you also made aware through your review of the medical examiner's report that there was injury to the back of Mr. O'Keefe's head.
Yes.
And based on your training experience in particular through pedestrian collisions, what, if any, significance did that have in relation to your opinion as to how Mr. O'Keefe interacted with the defendant vehicle?
So when you look at the damage, he would have interacted with that left side of the vehicle. And when he got struck by the vehicle on the left side, it would have caused his vehicle to rotate kind of counterclockwise. And then when that rotation, he could turn it into his back, and his back could have struck the ground. I noted at the scene that there was asphalt curbing, which could have somewhere he could have struck his head in there, or somewhere along any of the pavement would have caused damage. Most forward projection crashes have damage on both sides of the body.
Why is that?
Due to them get projected forward, so they get hit from behind, they would have damage to the back, and then when they get projected forward, they get damage to the front. So, I mean, in this case, he got projected and got spun counterclockwise due to where he got impacted the vehicle.
Now, with regard to the vehicle speeds, kinematically speaking, from your analysis in respect to that, what, if anything, can you say in relation to, just in general terms, as far as the pedestrian collision is concerned, how much of that vehicle speed would a pedestrian be assuming in the context?
He's just screaming. This is such bullshit. You guys are the best. I love this one too. Oh, where was it? Oh shit, that was Screw physics. Super Bowl. Oh man, I love it. That's why I love doing this, because you all in the chat come up with some really good ones. Screw physics. It's a new course he's treating. He's it's killing me. Oh God, I love doing this. I tell you, it's just the moments like this that just give some let us laugh a little bit. This is a very serious situation, and we're not trying to make light of the situation, but it's a very intense situation, and we're going to have a little fun like this sometimes. It's great. Screw physics. I love that. It's a new course I'm teaching at the local college. It's called Screw Physics. Oh, it's so good. Oh man, I'm getting like tears in my eyes from laughing so hard. All right, let's keep going through Mr. Screw Physics.
Of a pedestrian collision with forward projection.
Forward projection will have almost 100% speed post impact. And more, like I said, in this case, it's more the fact that he didn't get 100%, like his center of mass didn't strike the vehicle, so he would not have been thrown 100% of the vehicle speed post impact. His right side would have sustained the vehicle speed, and that would cause him to spin out. So, as opposed to traditional forward projection, if he was right there in the middle of the vehicle, he would have got projected forward, and he would have sustained, his full body would have sustained the vehicle speed.
Is that abnormal as far as the sort of forward projection type of pedestrian collision? And what I'm going to ask is specifically to not having any contact with sort of the bottom of the vehicle or being run over or something like that. Can you expound upon that a little?
Yeah, due to the sideswipe manner that projected him off to the left, it wouldn't show that he would have been, the car would have ran over him and traveled over him. Like traditional,
Yeah,
the car
I'm
would,
gonna ask you to slow down just a
Sorry.
little bit.
sorry.
Okay.
Yes, so due to the situation in this scene where he got projected to the left and body rotated, it would have rotated away from the vehicle and his body would not have traveled under the vehicle as you do in like a lot of traditional forward projection crashes. The vehicle would get tracked forward ahead of the vehicle and that vehicle could possibly travel over that pedestrian.
So that is not what you found in this particular pedestrian collision, correct?
Correct.
I know you've mentioned it a couple of times, but if I could ask you to just expound a little bit when you're talking about center of mass and how that relates between sort of a pedestrian and a vehicle in a pedestrian type collision.
So
Now, wait a minute. Does this guy have a physics degree? Because he's making a lot of physics analyzations here. And they're talking about mass and talking about projection. I mean, that's probably the first thing that I would say as a juror. I'd look at this guy and go, where's this guy's physics degree? He's not a scientist. Yeah.
So pedestrians, almost every object has a center mass. Pedestrians is the same. So a pedestrian center mass is essentially to the half the body, and you would also put down is around the chest area, just below the chest area would be a center mass for a pedestrian, and they all range based on height and body shape.
And so where on someone's body typically would a center of mass be located?
Usually just around the chest area, or just below the chest area.
Now, if I could turn your attention, Trooper Paul, back to February 1st of 2022, when you were at the Canton Police Department. You mentioned that, or you testified earlier at some point that you went outside to an asphalt roadway surface and conducted some forward acceleration and rear acceleration braking tests, correct?
Correct.
Now, in addition to that, what, if any, other testing did you do with respect to that vehicle on that particular date in that location?
We checked the cameras and we did backup visibility analysis with the cameras and the vehicle.
And again, if you could, just in general terms, first, just describe for the jury, when you say visibility analysis, typically speaking, what are you doing in a visibility analysis?
In the visibility analysis,
Very
we are
nervous.
trying to see what an operator would see in their vehicle. Looking for, in this particular case, we're trying to see if the operating vehicle would be able to see a pedestrian behind the vehicle. And also in this, where we have backup cameras, we're trying to look at the cameras and see what would the cameras pick up as we go into reverse.
And in fairness to the defendant, at this particular time,
Listen to this real quick. The Fast and the Curious. That's an awesome chat name. That's a really cool chat name, by the way. I like that. 999er, thank you so much for the support. Says the problem for me with all these witnesses that they all have is just theories, but no factual concrete evidence. The whole case is built on circumstantial evidence and theories. Yeah, that's very, very great observation. Everybody has their theory. And I think that's what we're waiting. You know, we've been waiting here. Like, where's the smoking gun moment that they're going to say, you know, I try to look at all these theories. I try to look at everything that's been put in front of us from the Commonwealth in the last, 7 weeks. I literally said it to today at lunch. My girlfriend, I literally said it to her today. I said, I still haven't seen any evidence that shows me second-degree murder. I haven't seen it. I mean, the way that the Commonwealth 100% could have nailed Karen Reed to the wall is this, okay? Is a video of the night in question. This case would have been over in 5 minutes. But, you know, you look at it, the irony, everybody's camera that night on the street didn't work. No one recorded anything. The house across the street that is a police officer, that camera didn't work. So that tells me that Karen Reed didn't do this, because if she did, every ring camera in that neighborhood would have came, people that own ring cameras would have came forward and said, I have the video. And this could have been the Commonwealth's opening statement. Karen Reed struck and hit John O'Keefe and left him to die. Here's the video. And that's it. It's over. It's over. All right, let's go.
And when this visibility analysis was conducted, it was during the daytime. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Understanding of the crash is that it occurred at night, correct?
Correct.
Now, as far as a visibility analysis, typically, would you be looking to recreate as close as you can to the conditions at the time the collision occurred?
In most typical cases, yes.
And why were you not able to, were you able to do that in this case?
We were not.
Why?
Due to was most, like you said, what I said, it's mostly done when we're trying to see what a pedestrian would, an operator would see a pedestrian. It's mostly done because it's an accident, but a lot of times when it's like an intentional act, visibility is not an issue in this situation. We were just want to make sure that the cameras worked and the backup sensors all worked in the vehicle.
Now, as far as this particular visibility analysis that was conducted in this case, how, if at all, was that memorialized?
It was recorded when the crime scenes, trooper recorded it.
My apologies. Before I get to that, sir.
Okay.
I can turn your attention just back to the text stream just for a moment. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Two-hander. Got a two-hander.
So I'm showing you a series of 7 photographs to ask you to look at those.
Okay.
First, I'm just going to ask you generally if you recognize those.
This will be interesting.
Yes.
And what do you recognize those to be?
It's the inside of the vehicle. Appears to be taking out the, showing that taking out the infotainment system.
What system?
Infotainment system.
And the last photograph there, what if anything was that depict, sir?
That is the module for the infotainment system.
And what if any involvement was up on the screen and is now been marked as exhibit 597?
Yes.
And what part of the vehicle are we looking at in this photograph?
That's the steering wheel.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have
is that?
E3.
Oh, well.
And Trooper Paul, do you recognize what's now up on the screen and it's marked as exhibit
What are
598?
we looking at?
Yes, I do.
And if you could, using the laser pointer, direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, of significance you observed in this part of the photograph.
That is the infotainment system.
God.
And as far as the infotainment system, when you were operating that vehicle, what, if anything, was displayed on that screen within the infotainment system?
If you were in drive, it just had, the radio navigation stuff. But if you're in reverse, that's where the backup cameras and sensors would be.
Wouldn't they have video of that? I wonder if Lexus saves video, especially in accidents. I'm sure Tesla does stuff like that. Like if there's an accident, it probably captures that video, right? So if there was an accident, and let's say Lexus does trigger something to record, wouldn't they have that? Interesting.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have EEP4, sorry.
Oh.
And Trooper Paul, do you recognize what's up on the screen?
Oh, that's right.
Yes, I do.
That's right. I forgot about that. It's only at 25 miles an hour it does that. That's right. That's why they had to put it at 24.2, right? Yeah, I think Lexus does have OnStar. That'd be interesting too. I wonder if Karen had that on her vehicle. Wonder if they're going to bring that out in the defense. Let's see. Captain Skidmark, great screen name, hilarious. Thanks for the 10. Says, ironically, Lucky Loughran's testimony would be Consistent with all the other witnesses' testimony, there was no body on the lawn. We'll see, though, but he knows about that Ford Edge. Let's see. Ashley says, I heard that the defense is calling someone from Lexus with black box data, but I don't know. All right. I don't need to see the inside of the vehicle here. I want to watch this video of him backing up. All right, let's see this.
Juror, if you could, please describe to the jury what we're looking at in this photograph that's now been marked as Exhibit 606.
Yes, this is the view from the operator as they would turn around.
Guy right here. He's like, gee, I wonder how we're gonna screw with this tail light. Yeah, that's how we're gonna screw with this tail light.
Look to the back of the vehicle.
Observe there for the direct the jury's attention to what, if any, devices are up there right now.
Yes, so that right here, the this blue device, that's the V-Box port attached to the windshield.
So that's something that you attach to the vehicle. It's not necessarily something that was in the vehicle when you began to operate it around.
Yes.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 2618.
Let's see the video. Let's see.
And Trooper Paul.
Yeah. Oh boy, this is going to be a good one. Here we go. Mary, thank you. Hey, thank you.
Trooper Paul, with respect to just for orientation purposes, if you could explain to the jury sort of where we are in relation to the Canton Police Department and where it was that you conducted these tests.
Yeah, so this is a view from the back of the Canton Police Department. So as you look at the Canton Police Department, we'd be on the left side of the Canton Police Department.
And as far as the vehicle in question, if you could, using the laser pointer, just direct the jury's attention to where that is and sort of where it's going to be in relation to the camera angle.
The vehicle is right here.
Ms. Gilman, if you could press it.
Oh, this would be good. That's 24 miles an hour. Straight line, no curve, no grade. All right, that's how we test things. Okay. Is that supposed to be 24 miles an hour? What are we watching here? I think they're throwing the game, Casey. I think they want to win it at home. What I don't like. What do we want? Like, what is this supposed to be? Yeah, no slippery road either. No blizzard conditions. No snow. What the fuck are we watching? I gotta speed this up.
So if I got you up there. Trooper Paul, during these testing that you were conducting here with the acceleration, reverse braking, all of those, the highest speeds that you recorded during the course of that testing was 30 miles an hour. Is that correct?
Yes.
That was 30 miles an hour. That didn't look like 30 miles an hour to me. If I was a betting man, that looked more like 5 or 10 miles an hour. And going back to Microdot's point, because they're trying to show what 24 miles an hour, he said he got up to 30 miles an hour, you would hear the engine. You would hear the engine. That's not 30 miles an hour backing up. That if I was a betting man, that's about 10. Refresh my recollection. Love the screen name. Says new subscriber here. I hang out on Brandy Churchwell's channel, and I heard about your channel from her. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight. Yes, I had Brandy on my show twice in the last couple of nights. So thank you. So we're at 317 total right now. And 25% of that will get us to, wow, $79 back to Karen. Thank you. Yeah, really. Where's the proof that that was 30 miles an hour? I mean, it's important, like Microdots was saying. Let's hear that roar of the engine. A roar of an engine at 5 miles an hour, an engine at 5 miles an hour, and an engine at 30 miles an hour is a completely different sound. I just said sign. I'm losing my mind.
And the highest speed that was contained within that VCH data for the second or the B of those two data sets. What was the highest?
They're just trying to do stuff to slip things past the jury, and hopefully that this jury doesn't see or hear anything. Well, the way that they could have done this is one, ready? Position camera outside, position camera inside like a GoPro with a on the speedometer. So you're filming the tack go up on the speedometer, and you're having this outside shot at the same time. And they could have split screen it or just put that filming the speedometer up in the corner and synchronize the videos, and then have sound on the outside so you can hear everything. That's how I would have done this to prove that we're going at 30 miles an hour. I mean, it's not that hard.
Miles per hour there.
24.
Now, with respect to the braking in this vehicle, what, if anything, was this vehicle with
Had ABS brakes, anti-lock brake system.
Done that.
and with relation to anti-lock brake system or ABS, what, if any, relationship does that have with regard to braking, and what is the
Point two. Sassafras says should have been a distance course set up like with cones and many people involved. It's a good point too. That way you can measure and judge speed. Time it with a stopwatch.
then visible on the pavement?
It doesn't leave visible tire marks
And why is that so?
due to when the brakes, as the brake is about to lock up, it transfers over to another tire, so it kind of rotates between tires, so the tires never fully lock up and slide across.
But when you hit a curb, you leave a skid mark, and that's been proven by Turtle Boy in his demonstration. This is asinine demonstration.
The pavement.
Now, in relation to ABS not leaving marks on the pavement, what, if any, relationship does that have as far as the sound difference between ABS brakes and non-ABS brakes?
Yeah, sound would be different because you would hear it.
If we had sound, we would have heard the brakes locking up and skidding or whatever this may be.
Cars sliding across the pavement as opposed to just hard braking and engine slowing down.
As far as sort of screeching of braking and tire coming to a brake, what would you expect to hear with respect to ABS braking?
There would be no screeching of the tires.
But we didn't hear any sound.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could press play from here.
Oh, 100% microdots. Aha. Let's go to Davis's comment here. Let's see what they just said. Let's go back up. Did I miss it? Aha. Look at this. The test of Karen's car in the rain on February 1st, 2022, before the woman discovered the hair, removed the tail light, took the blood sample, and noted the damage as well. She removed the hair easily, too. Aha. Very interesting point. And then Microdot says, check out my Twitter video about this later after the show. I will do that. I will do that. Oh my God, what are we doing? I mean, that driving forward looked more like 30 miles an hour to me. This doesn't look like 30 miles an hour. I love the police cruiser in front for effect. That looks like 30 miles an hour. And you got to tell me that if you got hit that hard, if that even is 30 miles an hour, I mean, it looked pretty fast to me. If you got hit that hard, that you wouldn't be fucking pulverized, that you wouldn't have more bruising on your body, or your head. And listen, I don't want to be super graphic here, but let's just say that they're saying that John's head hit that tail light. That's the theory. Remember, Wendy Murphy threw that out, fucking Plevin, all that. Your head, and I listen, I don't want to be just graphic here. Your head literally would probably explode or have some very serious fucking damage to it. Let's just say that that's 30 miles an hour, because that looked faster than the second one. If you were to put a watermelon there and hit a watermelon at that speed, the watermelon would explode. It literally would explode. I mean, John's face would have been caved in, not beaten, caved in. If that hit him in the front of his face that hard, let's just say that's 30 miles an hour right there. Okay, let's just say it. That would have crushed his face and caved his head in. He's like, hey, did you get it on camera? He's looking, hey, did you get it? That's probably what he's saying. Hey, did you get it? Yeah, I got it, buddy. Do it again. Hey, no sound. All right, bud. Go do it again. Yeah, he would have been totally under that SUV. It would have been tire marks on his body. Hey, do it again, bud. Yeah, all right. Back up. I got it. Look, yeah, look, Mom, driving. Listen, I understand. I totally get it. But I'm going to tell you, if you put, let's just say, let's use a pig's head in place of that. That pig's head would be crushed. Multiple skull fractures throughout the face and the head. Okay. Or just do what Mythbusters do. They would get a skeleton and put it in that gelatin material that they use. I guarantee you, if they use something like that to test this and to set it up at 30 miles an hour to hit that test dummy or skeleton, it would have multiple fractures. Multiple fractures. Not just two black eyes. Like you've been punched. What's the tell? Thank you.
Thank you. Your Honor, with the court's permission, may I publish the other video of the interior of the vehicle?
Yes.
I'm going to take a just pause briefly. Again, to recall with reference to what's up.
All right, let's watch Jackson
now?
smoke this guy.
Really trying to work to get this case to you as efficient.
All right, jury's gonna leave, and we're gonna watch Jackson smoke this dude.
Thank you. Be seated.
It's a voir dire.
So, Trooper, we're going to have a voir dire of you, sir. Mr. Lally's going to ask you some questions. Mr. Jackson's going to ask you some questions. You'll be shown a video.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Lally.
Now, Trooper Paul, as I was asking you before, with respect to, have you had occasion to see a ring video from Mr. O'Keefe's house on One Meadows Avenue depicting the defendant or the defendant's vehicle backing out of a garage while snow was falling.
Yes.
Now, in addition to that, as you've already testified to, you made observations of the defendant's vehicle in the Canton Police Department garage on February 1st. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Your Honor, with the court's permission, may we play the video at this time?
Yes.
Your Honor, to save time, I'll stipulate to the video.
I want to see it for purposes of this voir dire. And in fact, I'd like to see the version that the defendants have with the focusing in on the tire.
Understood.
Both. Go ahead, Ms. Gilman, you show yours, and then I'm going to ask for the defense.
153. Now, Trooper, from your observations from this video, at some point, this vehicle either comes close or makes contact with Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, in addition to your observations of this video and your observations of the defendant's vehicle, at some point, have you also seen photographs of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle?
Yes.
And is your understanding that those photographs of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle were taken by State Police Crime Scene Services on February 3rd? Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, with reference to your observations in this vehicle, what I'm going to ask you is in regard to the significance significance of the impact of the two vehicles. In respect to Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, what, if anything, did you observe on his vehicle at that time?
At the photos or now?
Right now.
Oh, right now. There was snow on the vehicle.
And then with respect to the contact between the defendant's vehicle and victim Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, what, if anything, did you observe to occur with relation to the snow based on the significance of the impact between the two?
The snow doesn't move.
Ms. Gilman, if you could press play at this time.
Oh, that's good. So they don't superimpose the video here. It does look really dark. Well, here's the funny thing right here. You want me to give you something that someone probably you haven't even noticed either? And I'm going to point something out. And I think you're all going to go, wow, I never even noticed that before. Look where Karen backed up to. See where this mark is right here? Her tire base is here. I bet you if you measured this here to here, and you can almost see it, she's gone past the distance of John's Traverse. So she's made contact with it. I don't know. Maybe that's something microdots can work on. But I've always noticed that too. That these tire marks measure past where John's, so she hit his car. I don't know if microdots is in the room, but maybe that's something you can figure out if my theory is correct. If you measured that wheelbase from here to that tire track here, I guarantee you it would go past, meaning that she made contact with John's Traverse.
All right. Can I see the other video? Please.
Yeah. I mean, measure it. Yeah, I told you. Come up with some good ones sometimes.
Yes, I think it's on. I know
And
it's
I
in it.
guarantee you, microdots probably could do it and figure it out and does the videos like they do. It's great. But I'm going to tell you what. Let's see. Microdot says, I like it, but the wheel clearly moves, so we know it moved. Yeah, 100%. But I guarantee you, if you look at it again and you measure that out and measure the distance of that wheelbase versus where her tire marks stop, she's hit his Traverse. I completely agree. But that's another step that you could literally add in there to clarify the whole situation, to validate it. This one looks a lot brighter. Yeah, let's watch this.
Evidence, but I think it's on your computer, your hard drive.
I'm talking about this snow right here. And this clown's gonna say that that tire doesn't move. You can see the car move. I mean, come on, bro. Listen, if I even just took out, and I can't put my hand over it, but let's just say we blacked out live boyfriend cop murder trial. Matt, okay, we blocked that out. We blocked crime and network out, and I showed this to someone. Listen, I just showed this to anybody off the street with that superimposed like that, and just say, "Can you do me a favor? I want you to watch this video. I want you to watch this video. Can you just tell me if you see the tire move?" I guarantee you, if you tested 10 people, all 10 people would say that tire moved. I saw it move. I mean, what the fuck? It's clear as day. Thanks for the 2. We'll add that to the total. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that. I mean, come on, bro. Like,
All right. Thank you. Okay, could you turn the lights on, please?
Your Honor, if I could, there's just 2 photographs that I'd like to, for
Sure.
these purposes. Ms. Gilman, if I could
I mean,
have.
how do you think this shithead feels? Like, he went home and he's like, I literally just lied about like saying that tire didn't move, and everybody in that courtroom literally saw it move. And you just, like, how do you feel about that when you go home at the end of the day?
What's now been marked as Exhibit 549.
And before you do that, what is the exhibit we just saw through your IT person? What
Your Honor, it's
number?
the same exhibit. It has not
Yeah,
been
you're not
enhanced
showing
in any way. It's just magnified for purposes of this, of showing it. In other words, the magnification is not embedded in the video. It's the
Okay.
same video.
Okay.
We just magnified it.
Okay.
You got it.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Lally.
And Trooper, do you recognize what's up on the screen now?
Yes.
And what are we looking at, and which area of the vehicle are we looking at?
It's the rear, John O'Keefe's car.
The driver's side, is that correct?
Yes.
And what, if any, relationship does this portion of the vehicle we're looking at here have in relation to the video
No
that we just
timestamp,
watched?
no date.
It was faced, well, kind of see it
All right.
from,
What was the answer?
I don't know when that photo was taken. When was that photo taken? Can anybody tell me when that photo was taken? I don't know when it was taken.
sorry, it was faced kind of the same way you see the back left rear corner of the vehicle as you do in this picture here.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have what's now been marked as Exhibit 559. And sir, is this the same driver's side rear of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle?
Yes, it is.
Now, as far as your observations of these photographs, what, if any, damage?
Yeah, dude, that looks like a fresh bumper, and that looks like a freshly like painted car. I'm not gonna lie, that looks like a fresh bumper. There's no snow around the car. Very clean SUV. That, I'm telling you, that bumper looks pretty shiny. Looks like someone hit that with some wax. Not gonna lie. Let's see. Let's see. You're right. You can see the brake light reflections on the middle of the car, and any damage to John O'Keefe would be near the John O'Keefe's car would be near the passenger side. Where are the pics of that side? Exactly. I mean, if they really wanted to nail this down, why wouldn't they have taken a piece of like memo, like a post-it note, put it up there and put date and time that you're taking these photographs at? Or just even show the coordination inside the digital camera. Like, we took these on said date, and here's the time. There's no timestamp. There's no date. I don't know the hell they took these pictures.
Damage
Not
that
gonna
you
lie, that
observed?
does look freshly pumped. And the funny thing is, if you look at it and you all can't see it, you can see right here where like oil has like almost run down. So I don't know if they shine that bumper up or what. It's interesting.
To Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle in either the last exhibit or this exhibit itself.
There was no damage.
Now, as far as the impact, let me ask, as far as the damage that you observed to the taillight area of the defendant's vehicle, what, if any, opinion do you have as to the amount of force necessary in order to cause that.
Objection.
We need a foundation on this.
So,
Hey,
Trooper, over the
Smokey, how are
course
you?
of your, I'm sorry, how many crashes have you investigated over your time? As far as you know?
I've been primary on 196 crashes.
And I know I'd asked you before about pedestrian crashes. Fair to say most of the remainder, if not all the remainder, involves vehicles colliding with other vehicles.
Correct.
Now, with respect to that experience in relation to vehicle crashes, what, if any, training or knowledge do you have in regard to sort of physical forces of vehicles in a collision sequence, and what kind of damage you would anticipate?
So obviously, the higher the speed, the more damage. The lower speed, the less damage.
And what, if any, from the
It's getting really uncomfortable here.
observation that you made in that video and the observations that you made of the defendant's vehicle, what you observed in the video, was that consistent with the damage that you observed to the defendant's vehicle?
Objection.
So I'm going to allow this for voir dire. I just need to hear this information.
Understood, Your Honor. Thank you.
It is not consistent with the tail light in this collision.
And why not?
For one thing, the collision, the tail light is, what I say, 42 to 50 inches off the ground. So that vehicle would have to have damage 42 to 50 inches off the ground, because they would have had to contact each other in the same distance from the ground, and there's no damage to that vehicle. So if the taillight breaks, it should leave some sort of scratching, maybe a dent, something on some sort of damage to that vehicle should have occurred.
And with respect to, I think you just answered it. So as far as Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, what kind of damage would you expect from an impact significant enough to break the plastic on the tail light of the defendant's vehicle?
It would be probably higher speed than what we saw.
For purposes of voir dire, I need to hear all of this, Mr. Jackson. Go ahead.
A higher speed than what we probably would saw in there. If it's not, it was minimal, maybe it would crack a tail light or something like that, but it wouldn't. I mean, the damage is different. And also, we have a bumper that's also in the way too.
And to that point, Trooper, when it comes to a bumper, from a functional standpoint, what is a bumper, and what does it do with respect to a vehicle and a collision sequence?
Oh, double fist again?
The bumper is, it's basically meant as another cushion to absorb the impact to another vehicle, from one vehicle to another vehicle. And it kind of sticks out to kind of also preserve whatever, the tail lights and everything else and the damage on top of it.
So in order, from your experience as far as responding and investigating collisions, specifically collisions between motor vehicles, the speed that you observed the defendant's vehicle traveling in that video, what, if any, relationship does that have, specifically as to the bumper, as to the damage that you observed to the defendant's vehicle?
So if you look at the defendant's vehicle, there is a scratch mark that is along the left side starts from her bumper around the rear. That could be consistently with his hitting his bumper. That would be around the same height level. He has a little ridge there on his bumper. So that bumper could have been hit that little ridge.
This guy's awesome. He just eyeballs shit and says, well, it could be this. I mean, it's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It sounds like someone like you sit down and you're talking to at the bar, and you're kind of just throwing shit around. Well, it could have been this and it could have been that, she could have done it this way, but when he got hit, he could have spun and he flew 12 feet in that direction. Oh shit, I can't. This is too much.
Also, the bumper in itself and here is a different material. Hers is a little lighter, like a glossy colored.
He's
paint.
fucking making this up as it goes. He's making this up as are we watching an SNL skit right now? I think we are. I feel like he's literally just making this up as he goes. Yeah, it could have been this way. It could have been that way.
More a duller flat finish. So it might have why it would show up on her bumper more than it would show up on his bumper.
Oh my God.
And finally, sir, in your opinion, the damage to the defendant's taillight is that something that could have occurred or could have been caused by the crash or the contact of the vehicles that you observed in that video?
Objection.
No.
So again, this is voir dire, Mr. Jackson, going in here.
No.
And again, sir, why not?
Thank you, Cindy.
For thing, the bumpers, you have to go push through the bumpers in order to hit the taillight against the other vehicle. And there's no damage to that, significant damage to a bumper in order to push back into the car.
And again, there was no snow on the vehicle. By that, I mean Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle that even came off the vehicle that you observed during the course of that contact between the two vehicles.
That's correct.
I have nothing further on.
All right, Mr. Jackson?
does.
Did you ever put the two cars together?
I did not.
No, you didn't, did you? You never tested whether or not the SUV would match up with the Traverse, did you?
What do you mean?
You just said, oh, look, one of them has matte finish, one of them has glossy finish, so it couldn't have happened, right?
No, I'm confused by the question. I'm talking about the tail light. We're talking about the tail light.
Yeah,
Are we talking about tail light? Or are we talking about the bumper?
yeah, we were talking about the taillight.
So one person at a time, you both are talking over each other.
You started talking about the bumpers.
Yes.
You said, well, one has matte finish and one has glossy finish, right?
Yes.
You said, well, you'd expect one of them to like slide off of each other, and they could have done this and they could have done that, right?
Not slide off each other.
You were suggesting that the two cars wouldn't match up such that the taillight could make contact with any part of the Traverse. That's what you were suggesting.
I'm saying it didn't match up because there's no damage to the Traverse.
You didn't test whether or not the lens, the right rear lens on the SUV could match up to any part of the Traverse, right? And make contact, physical contact with it, right?
When I see a picture of the Traverse,
Yes or no?
when I see the picture
No,
of the Traverse,
this is a voir dire. I need the information, Mr.
you're asking me a
Jackson.
question.
Yeah,
I said when I-
yes or no question, Trooper.
He's pissed.
I don't think so, but
Mr. Jackson, just for, there's no jury here.
I
This
realize
is
that.
this is for purposes of
Man, he's
what
hot.
I have to rule on. The more information
Oh my God, Jackson's so fucking hot right now. Wow. Woo.
I have, the better off I am in being able to rule on.
Let me take a breath.
So this is you trying to keep the evidence out. So you want to give me the information.
Understood. Did you or did you not ever do a test where you backed the Lexus up against the Traverse?
we did not.
Did you or did you not ever do a test where you put the two cars together and measured them?
No.
Did you ever measure the taillight of the SUV, the black SUV, against any area on that Traverse?
No.
Did you ever do any force multiplier tests to determine the forces necessary?
So here's the funny thing about all of this. All that, just think about this, fans. Just think about this, okay? All that shit that Lally just went through, what, almost 3 hours? All that shit. Jackson's crushing it in literally about 2.5 seconds. All that stuff that this guy got up there and talked to and said in front of the jury, Jackson's crushing it in about 2.5 seconds. This is how good Alan Jackson is. Smashing this guy right now. And he knows he's crushed. Look at that. That is the face of defeat right now. He just said all of the shit. This guy's just saying all the shit that I just went through for 3 hours is getting crushed right now.
To crack the SUV's convex taillight?
No.
Did you ever do any testing to determine whether or not a plastic taillight, under how much pressure a plastic taillight would need to be subjected before it would crack?
No.
Did you ever do any testing to determine whether or not if a plastic taillight came in contact with a metallic portion of another SUV, whether it would leave any mark?
I haven't done any testing. I've seen crashes where headlights have struck other vehicles. That's kind of where the experience comes from.
Fair enough. But I'm guessing that those crashes are probably different speeds and higher speeds. Not this, right?
I've had multiple crashes at different speeds.
So have you ever had a crash where you've investigated, the Massachusetts State Police has been brought in to investigate a crash where the car was going in reverse at about a half a mile an hour?
Half a mile an hour?
Whatever that was.
Are you saying the SUV Lexus is going half a mile per hour?
Well, you're the Reconstructionist. Give me an estimate of how fast you think that SUV was going at the point of contact with the Traverse.
Maybe like 1-2 miles per hour?
Okay, fair enough. Have you ever been called in to a crash, to investigate a crash, where the cars have collided at 1 mile an hour?
I've had pedestrian crashes that have been at a very low speed.
Okay, that wasn't my question. That wasn't quite my question.
Okay.
My question is, have you been called in to a crash involving two vehicles
Yeah.
that have made contact at about 1 mile an hour?
I have seen testing for vehicles at low speeds.
No, that's not the question,
So
sir.
next time I have been called to a crash, I go to fatality crashes, but I have seen testing for vehicles at low speed impacts,
Okay. How low speed?
like just the bump.
So like this?
Yes.
Did you see any
I've noted.
damage?
Yes. All right. Well, minimal damage.
Right. In what circumstances? Minimal damage, like, I don't know, like a cracked taillight.
No, like just a little bit of rub off on the paint.
Right? Or you might see nothing, right?
Yes.
You've certainly seen circumstances in which two cars come in contact and there's absolutely no physical damage to either car, nothing observable, right?
Have I gone to
Sure.
crashes that I've seen no physical damage on a car?
Or just in common sense, just everyday life, where one car backs into another car at the Jiffy Lube, makes contact and drives away, and there's no damage.
Not normally. It's usually something with car and car impacts.
Like, what's the something?
A crack or a paint, something chip, scratches.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you put a piece of metal in that scenario, if you put a piece of metal, steel, right,
Uh-huh.
against a piece of plastic, which one do you think is going to give way first?
You'll still see some damage to both vehicles at a speed.
Which one would give way first?
Between metal, depends what speeds.
I'm
And
talking,
what we're talking about, you're just saying plastic and metal. You're giving a pretty general, broad plastic and metal
Trooper Paul,
analysis here.
you admit, you got to agree with me, that there are circumstances in which low speed, very, very low speed contact between two cars can certainly leave damage on one and not damage on the other, damage on both, or no damage on either one. Observe.
Yes, I just said in that situation where the scratch on the side of her car
Right.
had a scratch mark and his doesn't appear to have anything.
And you said under questioning by Mr. Lally that certain circumstances like this could lead to a lens material, right, plastic material cracking, right?
Say again, like on least.
Just a few minutes ago, Mr. Lally,
I'm trying to answer your question. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yes.
Mr. Lally asked you a question a few minutes ago, and you indicated that something might show up on a bumper. Something might, something might, like a taillight, might actually crack, correct? In a low speed impact.
The taillight might crack in a low speed impact.
Correct.
Yeah, it might crack.
Okay, now, Mr. Lally also said you saw this video where the cars come close to or make contact, right? That's how he worded the question. Remember that?
Come close. Yeah.
Which one is it? Did it come close or did it make contact?
I said it might. I don't know if that scratch from the side is. It's something that's consistent with the height of the bumper. Like I said, I didn't measure them from side by side, but you can clearly see there's a scratch on the side, and that's something that looks like that would come back. So as I look at the bumper, and I see the bumper, and it has that little divot, and I look at her side of her car with that scratch mark, that kind of lines up a little bit of why that could be where that was from.
I thought you said there was no damage on that car, on the Traverse.
There is no damage, and that's why I went to why there's the two different paint materials there, that why one could have showed up on her car because it's that flat, the glossy paint on there, and it could have scratched on it. While you have something that's a little more rougher texture with like a flat, flat color on there,
So
that wouldn't leave on there.
So you just described the circumstance in which two cars come in contact, you don't see any observable damage on one, and you do on the other. That's what right?
I suggested that when you asked me that a second ago.
Yes. With regard to the video, let's get back to the question that I asked, which was, in that video, did the SUV come close to, or did it come in contact with the Traverse?
Again, I don't know, because I'm saying based off the damage that is something consistent with that. So most likely it did come in contact with the bumper to bumper, but I don't know definitively because there is no damage to his car, but it's something that could explain why there's a scratch mark alongside the right rear side of his car, her car.
Did you see the tire move, sir? Did you see the wheel on the Traverse move in that video?
No, I couldn't see the wheel move.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah.
I didn't see it move. I didn't, if I did, I didn't observe it moving. If it moved, it moved. I didn't observe it moving. I wasn't looking at the wheel.
When was the first time you saw that video?
This gets really bad now. I remember this. This gets really bad now for this guy and the Commonwealth.
Don't really know. It's been a
And Jackson's gonna really get pissed off here.
little while,
Well, I don't know what a little while means.
like a year ago, I think.
Okay. So you saw that video a year ago. Did you put anything about that video in your report, which is wherever it is, right here?
Wherever it is, Jackson's
I'm looking at
pissed.
your entire CARS report. Yes. Put anything in this CARS report about watching that video?
No, because I watched the video like after the report was done, and I watched it first time on court TV. So
So on court TV
Oh my god.
during this trial?
like
Prior hearing?
when it was on TV at some point.
Okay, when did you and Mr. Lally have a discussion about you testifying about this video?
That was a couple weeks ago?
I'm sorry, I couldn't
A
understand.
couple of weeks ago?
What's a couple of weeks ago? Is it 10 days ago?
Days ago? 2 weeks ago? I mean, 2 weeks ago? Couple? Two?
Where did you two meet?
At the DA's office.
Was that at your request or was that at Mr. Lally's request?
It was a pre-conference hearing, or pre-trial hearing,
Right. Well, those
or
are
pre-trial conference, sorry.
done.
So
Oh boy.
We're talking over each other. Trying not to talk over each other.
I'm trying not either.
Let's both try harder.
Okay.
Who set up the meeting?
For my
Thank you, lady.
pre-trial,
Yes.
okay.
Paul.
Adam Lally.
Who was at the meeting?
He wants it on the record.
Right, sitting right here, Lieutenant Tolley.
Lieutenant Tully, you, Adam Lally, Laura McLaughlin. I'm guessing Ms. Gilman was not there.
She was not there, correct?
Did Mr. Lally show you this
Lally.
video at that meeting?
I'm sorry,
Yes.
Tully
Did
was
he tell
there.
you that he intended to ask you some questions about this video at that meeting?
Yes,
Did he ask you whether or not you could render an opinion as to whether or not impact you saw or lack thereof, whatever the case may be, was consistent or inconsistent with damage to the taillight?
yes,
Did you tell him that you would give him such opinion if called upon at trial?
yes.
Did anybody take any notes?
I don't know.
Were you taking notes?
Yes,
Where are those notes, Trooper Paul?
I think I just, well, no, it's not on this specifically, but just, make sure I had, my everything checks and balance. And for what I want to talk about, what we're going to talk about.
This fucking guy just said checks and balances. This guy literally just said to get his checks and balances. This is gonna send Jackson over the friggin'. He's gonna be over this courthouse right now. He literally just said to get my checks and balances. Jackson's gonna flip. Let's just go back just a little bit here.
Yes.
We're talking over each other. Trying not to talk over each other.
I'm trying not either.
Checks
Let's
and
both try
balances.
harder.
Okay.
Who set up the meeting?
For my pre-trial,
Yes.
okay.
Paul.
Adam Lally.
That's right.
Who was at the meeting?
Right, sitting right here, Lieutenant Tolley.
Lieutenant Tully, you, Adam Lally, Laura McLaughlin. I'm guessing Ms. Gilman was not there.
She was not there, correct?
Did Mr. Lally show you this video at that meeting?
Yes,
Did he tell you that he intended to ask you some questions about this video at that meeting?
yes,
Did he ask you whether or not you could render an opinion as to whether or not impact you saw or lack thereof, whatever the case may be, was consistent or inconsistent with damage to the taillight?
yes.
Did you tell him that you would give him such opinion if called upon at trial?
Yes,
Did anybody take any notes?
I don't know.
Were you taking notes?
Yes,
Where are those notes, Trooper Paul?
I think I just, well, no, it's not on this specifically, but just, make sure I had, my everything checks and balance. And for what I want to talk about, what we're going to talk about.
Make sure you had
My
what?
checks and balances, sorry.
Checks and balances.
Just make sure I'm more on the same page of what we understand, what's going on in the trial.
You want to make sure that you're on the same page with Mr. Lally about what's going on in trial.
Yes,
Did Mr. Lally take notes?
I have no idea.
You were watching him. I mean, was he writing something down?
I wasn't paying attention to his note taking.
Ms. McLaughlin was there. Was she taking notes?
I don't know.
You didn't see her either?
I don't know if there were people who were taking notes, writing stuff down, or what they're writing stuff down in relation to our conference.
Did you give him an opinion? We've asked whether or not you were asked to give an opinion, and you said, yes, 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 I was.
Yep.
Did you give an opinion at that meeting about whether or not you believe, in your opinion, the contact between the SUV and the Traverse, the Lexus and the Traverse, could result in the damage to the taillight?
Yes.
What did you tell him in the meeting?
What we talked about already in the stand here.
Okay. So what you related to him was exactly what you relayed in this court.
Yes.
And he asked you, he told you that he was going to ask, I'm going to ask you to look at the video, correct?
Yes.
You're going to be asked a series of questions about that video, correct?
He told me the video and he said, okay, this is the video. This is what they think the taillight was broken. And these are the pictures of his car that they take. So they asked my opinion on, do you think that's where a taillight would be broken?
You literally they brought this guy in. There's 4 or 5 people sitting there. He's telling the scenario, he's giving the scenario what happened. You have 4 or 5 people here that want to convict Karen Reed of killing John O'Keefe, and they're pointing at you and breathing down your neck right now. What are you going to do? You're going to take one for the team, and you're going to lie. That's what happened in that room. They made this guy say what he's going to say. That's the impression that I'm getting. And he's getting blown away right now. And Jackson's hot. This was majorly set up.
Broken.
And he said, and he told you, you need to make sure that you tell the jurors that couldn't have happened in this impact, right?
He didn't tell me I had to make sure jurors, that's my opinion on, it doesn't appear to happen in that video.
Did he tell you that it would be helpful to prosecution if you said that it would be, that it was inconsistent with the taillight break?
Objection.
This guy, listen, he's a patsy. This guy's patsy. They went in and twisted this guy. This guy didn't want to do it. That's kind of what I'm feeling here. And I could be wrong. But I don't think this guy wanted to do it. And they said, we need you for this opinion. So they took a low-level guy that had barely any training in this thing. Any low-level guy, barely any training. What did he say? 800 hours of training. They threw him into this situation. They got him in that office and said, you are going to say this. And you can see it. This guy's shitting bricks now. This guy's totally shitting bricks now. He didn't want any part of it. I don't think he wanted any part of this. But they went on him. They had Tully there for the intimidation. They had Lally there, Morsi there. They were all there pointing, and you're going to say this. Get your checks and balances. Take your notes. Whoo.
I'm going to allow it. Did he tell you it would be helpful to the case if you said that?
No.
But you knew it would be, right?
I'm just stating what I saw on my professional opinion on what it is. If it looked like it was consistent, I would say it's consistent. If it wasn't consistent, it's not consistent. I'm not going to.
I'm sure that's what you would say.
Okay, so comments are not appropriate for the jury.
Elizabeth,
They're also not very good for me, Mr. Jackson.
Real quick. Yeah, this guy's nervous as shit. He's drinking a lot of water. He's shaking. He's screwed. And, listen, I don't want to say like I feel bad for the guy, but they totally pushed this down on this guy's neck. Tully probably intimidated the shit out of this guy and said, you're going to do it. You're going to take one for the team, and this is what we need you to say. This is like mob level shit. Like, this is crazy. And you're seeing now, like, here it is. It's on full display right now. It's on full display. They took a guy that barely had any training, and they said, we need you. And you're going to be the patsy, and you're going to get up there, and you're going to say this stuff. And we don't want to hear anything otherwise. Perth, Australia checking in. Thank you so much. This is good morning from the future. It's Saturday morning in Perth. Day 25 was wild. I feel like All is centered around rebuttal of the defense. Shouldn't Lally be trying to convince the jurors that Karen Reed murdered John O'Keefe? Hashtag free Karen Reed. That's fantastic. That's a great chat. And thank you for the 20 Aussie. We'll add that to the total. All right, let's keep rolling out. We got a little bit more here, and then we're going to wrap up tonight. I appreciate every single person being here tonight. Almost 1,500 people in the chat room. All the donations that came in. We'll get a total at the end, and then we'll kick that back to 25% to Karen Reed's Defense Fund. I'll post up the receipts on my Facebook page, LTL Media, and then I do the posting on my community tab. You'll see that. And then the ultimate vet is you can go to the Defense Fund website, and you will see it will say LTL Media chat raiser, and the date will be 6/14/24 with the total that is in Karen Reed's bank. All right, let's go.
Did you formalize your new opinion? Because this is a new opinion, right? You've never been asked this opinion before.
Yes.
Did you formalize this new opinion in any kind of report or memorialize it in any way?
No.
I hope so, Kennedy. We want that silver
Did
play
Mr.
button.
Lally ask you to create a report of some sort that you can turn over to the defense so that we would know that you have a new opinion that you're going to testify about?
No.
Did you save those notes that you took about making sure that you were on the same page as Mr. Lally?
That's, I mean, yeah, I saved mine.
Where are they?
Oh, I'm wondering if he's going to have to show those notes. Wow, would that be a case breaker? If there's something on there that says, you know, this is what you're going to say, this is what you're going to do. Oh, man. Whoa. That's not going to be good for the Commonwealth, nor should we want it to be good for the Commonwealth. But you imagine if there's anything on those notes that come out and say, this is what I have to say, this is what I have to do, or they're feeding him lines in those notes. Oh, shit.
They're my report.
They're in your reports?
Yeah, as I was writing a report, I just kind of like just, you know, highlight the stuff that I want to make sure I memorize and remember my report.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. I'm talking about notes specifically about this video, seeing
Right.
this video and rendering a new opinion about this video.
No, I didn't have notes specifically about this video. I
Nervous.
didn't write anything down saying I must do this on this video.
Did
Why
you
would
write
you say that?
anything down about the new opinion that you would come up with related to this video?
No, I did not.
I'm just moving on.
Oh, man. Lally must have had his head in his
And your
lap.
opinion ultimately
Lally.
that you imparted to Mr.
Look at Lally. You see his body language? Look at Lally's body language. He's like, ah, fuck.
Did you write anything down?
Real quick, let me just get to this. Allison, thank you so much. It's a great work all day today, Brian. Thank you. I appreciate it. Listen, you know what? Listen, I love doing the single lives. That's why we do this. I love being up here and having all of you and being able to interact with all of you. And I get it. I have guests on the show, but I feel like, in my opinion, you know, true creator, you got to come out here, do it just with the crowd. That's why your channel stands on itself, because people come here to watch you and they want to hear your perspective. And I give a lot of credit to the creators that can do that. And I love having the guest shows, but this is the raw and the real. This is what I love. I love the chat that's moving. I can interact with the chat. It's just one-on-one time. We're all either, you know, having our opinions or disagreements. And this is what makes these shows great. You know, we just kind of relax. We go through this. We give our opinions. You're either going to agree with me, or you might set me straight in the chat. And that's what's fun about this. I do like the guest shows, but, you know, I like to do these single lives. When you're a creator, you can do the single live. I feel like you're a true creator. You're coming creative from your mind. It's not like you're having someone carry your show or whatever. And this is what I really enjoy doing. So it's fun. It's fun for me. It's relief to go through this and go through these with you all. So I appreciate y'all being here. All right, let's finish this up.
About the new opinion that you would come up with related to this video.
No, I did not.
I'm just moving on.
Jackson's hot.
And your opinion
Lally's
ultimately that
body
you
language.
imparted to Mr. Lally in that meeting was that the car did not move and the snow did not move, correct?
Correct.
Get that on the record. Yeah, Jackson's hot.
I think that's all I have.
All right. Did you want to follow up at all, Mr. Lally?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right,
Excellent.
so Trooper, you are all set for today. We will see you Monday morning.
Thank you.
Okay?
Watch this look. Watch this look. Real quick, let's get to this. Hans Gruber, fantastic chat name, and I don't care. I'll fight every single one of you in the chat. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I don't want to even hear it. It is a Christmas movie. Says Morrissey's holding up cat, holding his cat hostage. I love it. Oh, it's so good. I love it. I love the chats. All right, watch this look. Tell me this guy didn't get a call from Lally. You fucking idiot. Tully fucking calling him. You motherfucker. What are you doing? Watch this look. Lally won't even look at him. Look at Oh. Look at him, Miss Jackson.
All right. So you're moving to exclude this. I'll hear you, Mr. Jackson.
Your Honor, it's very clear that this is a blatant violation. Commonwealth has at least the obligation to provide us with any new opinions that any expert's going to
As the guy goes by, he looks at Jackson and gives him a little nod, and Jackson just fucking stares him down.
testify to on direct examination. They've known about this witness for not months, for a year, for a couple of years. They've known exactly what this witness has memorialized in his official report. They knew that the only thing that we had was the official report. They met with him 2 weeks ago. This has become a pattern of conduct by the Commonwealth over and over and over. We're finding these witnesses getting on the stand, finding out that there's been a sort of preemptive strike in some sort of a prep interview where they're coming up with new opinions, new conclusions, new facts. It happened with Jennifer McCabe. This new fact about coming up, going to Michael Lank's house. It happened with Officer Sarah, coming up with a new determination about what was said or not said at the scene that we had never heard before. That was also a prep session of some sort, or I believe it was. And then this witness, literally, it's not even like just, was it light out or was it dark out? This is a completely new opinion based on evidence that we presented, both in or talked about in opening statement and have presented.
Real quick, and I'm sorry, I'm pausing this, and I've been pausing a lot tonight, but I wanted to let everybody know this is how amazing Alan Jackson is. Mr. Reed was sharing a story today, and I don't know if you heard it in the live or you heard it on the video earlier today, the behind the scenes video, but he was telling me, I think it was me and Tom, CPU was out there, was talking about how great Alan Jackson was. And he said, you know, Father's Day is coming up, but you have to put this in perspective. He said, Alan Jackson has a 4-year-old, I think he said daughter at home. And he said that he has been out here since April and has not been able to see his kid, I think only like twice in that amount of time. So, you know, it keeps him away from his family as too. And how, you know, he said it's just the level of dedication that Alan Jackson has been out here devoted to this case and making sure that Karen Reed is completely exonerated and you know, found not guilty of these charges. That's takes a lot to do that, to be away from your family, especially a young child at home. And I totally commend him because you can see the dedication to stay out here and be here in Boston and constantly work on this case. It's pretty cool.
Variously throughout this trial, and this officer gets on the stand and now has a new central opinion about whether or not we're right and that taillight lens could be cracked. That's something that should have at least been reduced to writing, and even if it was reduced to writing, it should have been excluded because it's a discovery violation. It's late. We don't have time to prepare for it, and we're caught off guard. I use the word at sidebar ambush, and I know that rankles the court, and the court doesn't like it, but that's exactly what it feels like.
Well, that's been used both ways here, right? So it's a word that's just take it out of here, make your point. Okay.
I'll see if I can come up with a synonym for it.
Well, I understand I understand your argument. So focus on, just continue where you were, but no comment whether I like ambush or don't like ambush. It's a word I've heard a lot on both sides.
I understand, Your Honor. My point is the evidence that now is being sought should never be presented in front of you. We didn't have opportunity to get this in advance. It's at least very least been in the Commonwealth's possession for weeks. He took notes about it. He now says, well, I didn't take notes about that specifically. I don't believe that as far as I can go. I think he did take notes about it. He was shown the video. He provided a new opinion. Mr. Lally knew that he was providing a new opinion. And then the first time he discloses this opinion is in front of the 16 jurors, 15 jurors. We would ask for its exclusion, Your Honor. And I'll submit.
All right, Mr. Lally.
Yes, Your Honor. As far as the pattern, especially coming from counsel, I simply find it laughable. As far as Officer Sarif, I think what counsel is referring to was testimony that was in his grand jury testimony. He was crossed about whether or not it was in his report, but it was in his grand jury testimony. As far as Ms. McCabe is concerned, that was regarding reciprocal discovery that was given to the Commonwealth weeks into trial by the defendant. It was then shown to a witness, which is perfectly permissible. Counsel asked a question of Ms. McCabe on cross, and she was aware of the material based on the late disclosure of reciprocal discovery. So there's no violation there. As it relates to and why I say laughable, Your Honor, is that I am still...
I don't like hearing you say laughable. Just
understood.
Stick to what the arguments are. And
With respect to this witness...
Hold on. Quit the finger pointing, name calling, things like that, please.
Yes.
I know it's been a long week. It's been a particularly long day. But just focus on what you want to argue to me.
And I apologize to the court for that, Your Honor. With respect to this testimony, it's well within his realm as a crash reconstructionist. This is a witness who's responded to and investigated hundreds of crashes involving damage to vehicles. Simply making an observation of contact between two vehicles or purported contact between two vehicles on a video. The force is self-evident, and whether or not that force is sufficient to cause the damage that he personally observed on the defendant's vehicle is well within his expertise. And should be permissible as far as for this witness to be able to testify to.
What about the non-disclosure to the defense? So showing this video and asking for an opinion. What about that?
So, Your Honor, what I would say is I did not show this video and ask this opinion. This is a video that actually the trooper mentioned to me that he had seen over the course of while the case was pending, probably over a year ago, that he had seen that video. What I showed him was the photographs of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle and asked whether or not he observed any damage consistent with the damage to the taillight observing or popping up on Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle.
Why wasn't that turned over?
In hindsight, it should have been, Your Honor.
All right. So it's late. I'm not ruling here. I want to review everything. I'm not obviously taking any of the evidence home with me. I would like, if it's possible, for what your IT person did on the expanding, like he did this second time, maybe I missed it, but I didn't see the tire move this time. So I'd like that. I'd like that video, and I would like, what's the exhibit number here?
It's exhibit 6.
She's high as shit. I didn't see the tire move the second time around. Give me a break. Come on, bro.
Do you want just that video, Your Honor?
And the pictures of the cars, whatever was shown during this voir dire, I would like those emailed to me so that I can look at them this weekend while I'm deciding, or put them on a flash drive right now.
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
We'll do a screen record and get it to the court by email. We can do that. I just need an hour once we get back to home base.
Okay. All right, Ms. Gilman, will you burn what you have for me before we leave somehow?
Your Honor, if I could, I just want to close one loop.
Okay.
What I was referring to with Ms. McCabe, I want to make sure that this is clear because this has come up a couple of times. The only thing I was referring to, or what I was referring to, is not the only thing, but what I was referring to with Ms. McCabe is after Ms. McCabe testified, days and days and days after she testified and she was excused as a witness.
Mhm.
Then we got the report from Lieutenant Tully about the new information that she disclosed on the witness stand. In other words, she was cross-examined about it, et cetera. And then after she testified and was cross-examined and gone, then we got a report that predated her testimony that was in the possession of the Commonwealth, or at least in the possession of Lieutenant Tully. That's what I was talking about. I just want to make sure that that's clear. We don't need to go into it any further.
Did you want to add anything to that, Mr. Lally?
No.
All right. So I'll see you Monday morning.
All right.
Please.
You are unmuted.
Oh my gosh. This case just keeps getting crazier and crazier. So Monday's going to be obviously have fireworks. This will be interesting. We'll have to see how she rules on this. But I mean, if she, in my opinion, she had any ethics, I mean, that's crazy. Super shit show. Super shit show. All right, where are we at, Casey, for total? Before we get out of here, it's late. 11:11. Everybody make a wish. Make a wish. What's everybody's wish? Put it in the chat. It's 11:11. What's everybody's wish? So I just screwed that up. What's everybody's wish? It was 11:11. What do we got for a total before we head out? 8:11 here. Justice for John O'Keefe. I love that. Free Karen Reed. Look at all the free Karen Reed. Dinner. Free Karen Reed. Wish I was sleeping. Well, you're going to be able to go to sleep in a couple of minutes. I'm going to head out. 338 total. All right. That gives us what? Let me do my magic math here, because my math, hopefully my maths. 95. We're going to throw 95 towards Karen Reed's defense fund tonight. I appreciate you all hanging out, going over this. I appreciate it. So we'll get that posted up after the stream. I'll post the receipt on my LTL Facebook page. I'll post it on my community page here on YouTube. Like I said, you can go Ultimate Vet Me Out. Just go right to the defense fund link and you'll see LTL chat raiser. And then the $95, the date will be 6/14/24. All right, everybody, I'm going to head out. Thank you so much for being here. It was over a 3-hour live. Lots of people in here tonight coming and going. Make sure to smash the like button on the way out. Leave a comment after this video posts. And we'll see you soon. Everybody have a great weekend. I may have a show this weekend. I don't know. I'll pop up at some point. You'll find me. Love you all. Thanks for the support. Good night.